Stars.
Well, I guess it's the old word called momentum. Like you say, they dispatched to Boston in 3 straight. They went into Buffalo. They were expected to lose against Buffalo, and they just seemed to keep building momentum and kept building on their game. They gained confidence and series after series, and probably the toughest series they had was against Calgary, where they went 6 games, and they've done nothing except build and build and build, and this is why they're in the Stanley Cup Finals right now.
I guess one very brief parallel we could make would be very much like the Houston Rockets.
Well, you know, if you give a team an opportunity, and Minnesota certainly has been allowed to get all kinds of opportunities, they've taken advantage of every chance they've had, and that's why they're winning series.
We're going to be joining Jiggs McDonald, an old friend of yours, Ed Westfall, who is working the telecast tonight.
Steady Eddie.
Yeah, in just a couple of minutes. And he's got a career going in broadcasting now.
He's doing quite well. He does the color now for the Islanders, and he's done quite well. I guess, what, about his 3rd year or something with the Islanders now?
Quickly, do you give the North Stars a chance in this series? Most people are giving them a great deal of credit just for being there. Can they win it?
If I were to be honest and I was a betting man, I'd have to say no. I just think the Islanders right now have an awful lot going for them. They're repeating. This is coming in for their 2nd opportunity to win the Cup. They've had that period of time where they were allowed to rest, to build up, and to wait for Minnesota. Minnesota had to go 6 games against Calgary. It was a tough series. Not only that, but they also had to travel the next day to come into the Islanders. Here the Islanders are just waiting for them to walk into their building, and took advantage, and I think they dispatched them relatively easy. But in that game, I think you'll find out that the Islanders' special teams did all the work. Their shorthanded play, and they really had an exceptional series.
The first game went to the Islanders by a score of 6-3, as we mentioned a little while ago. The Islanders jumped up by a score of 3-0 in the first period, 4-0 early in the second period. They led by 4 goals. A good part of the night ended up with a 6-3 win, and this is game 2. As we go now to Nassau County Coliseum, and the broadcasters for tonight's game, Jiggs McDonald and Eddie Westfall.
Some other hockey news prior to the face-off here tonight. The Winnipeg Jets announced this afternoon that Tom Watt has been named the head coach of their hockey club. Last year he was the assistant coach with the Vancouver Canucks, and he'll move to Winnipeg to be the #1 man. A lot of speculation going on about other changes around the league. There's still a coaching availability, of course, in Montreal. But a lot of rumors. Whenever you get as much media together, as many people, I guess, as we have on hand for a Stanley Cup final, there's always the rumor of the day.
It's got to be Eddie Johnson, although they tell me that Pittsburgh does not want to let him go. I would think he's a natural. He was born and raised in the West End of Montreal. Has proven himself on 2 different fronts with Chicago last year, this year with Pittsburgh, and brought both those teams into a strong playoff picture.
Now the North Stars are coming out on the ice. And you see the booing of the youngster. Just prior to the game this evening, there was a presentation made to Bob Bourne as a Budweiser player of the game for the entire season with the New York Islanders. Now it's obvious the Islanders are on their way. The fans rise for a warm welcome. Defending Stanley Cup champions.
A resounding welcome. The Long Island fans, they appreciate their hockey team. They've supported the team strongly all season, and of course now in the playoffs, nary a seat to be had, as one would expect.
Speaking of which, the Islanders are now forming a waiting list for 1981-82 season tickets. Requests must be made in writing and will be filled on a first-come, first-served basis. Just request the number of seats you desire along with your name, address, and telephone number, and send that information to Ken Hare. Ken Hare, H-A-R-E, New York Islanders, Nassau Coliseum, Uniondale, New York, and the zipper 11553. There's a look at Don Beaupre. Unbeaten, as it says, 3 games. Carries with him a playoff goals against average of 4.33. The youngest team in the league, the Minnesota North Stars. The least experience of anybody in playoffs, naturally. Love the hat. There are nights when the ice must feel that way to players too. Uphill all night long.
Certainly, you're right, Jiggs.
Now the crowd remains standing. Joe Dewar and our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
15,008 on hand. The game now in the hands of Brian Lewis. The referee, Leon Stickle and Ray Scapanello are the linesmen. There's an interesting pair right there, huh? Those two linesmen. Don Beaupre has given up 13 goals in the 3 games that he played. 4.33 as you see, and Billy Smith limbering up. Brings with him a 2.31 goals against average now. It's crept up just a little bit. 29 goals against. He is playing in his 14th game in the playoffs this year and going for a record 7th straight playoff victory. Stanley up with Merrick and Nystrom as the Islanders pour into that Minnesota zone. Hartsburg around the boards. Kane trying to come out on this near side. It was broken up. That was Anderson. Hartsburg cleared it right to the stick of Merrick. Ray Merrick, rink wide for Nystrom. 3 North Stars back as he dumped it in around the boards. Beaupre leaves it for the defense. It was stolen by Tonelli, and then he was knocked down from behind. Brad Maxwell checked. Out in front, Tonelli trying to set up Nystrom. Nystrom held it in as he goes to the boards with Hartsburg. It's brought out on this right wing by McAdam. McAdam across the Islander line. Gave it to Payne, and Potvin came over to break up that move. Hartsburg into his own zone, ahead to Payne too far. Morrow with it at center, waited for Nystrom to get onside before shooting the puck into the Minnesota territory. McAdam out of the right wing corner now. Now McAdam into center ice for McCarthy. Fires one around the boards. Smith lets it go to the right wing. Bobby Smith in forechecking. It came back to Ciccarelli, to McCarthy. Centers one. It's broken up by Goring. Goring sends Callard out quickly on the right side. Over the Minnesota line. Callard to Gillies, and it was tipped by Giles, the Minnesota defenseman. In the corner, it's Goring trying to get it out of the skates of Ciccarelli. Cicerelli, and then he was knocked down. Not close. There's going to be a penalty against the Islanders. Bobby Smith into center, across the Islander line, pulls to the left, lets the shot go. Smith, the glove save, and he dives on top of the bouncing puck. But the Islanders are going to be shorthanded. Minnesota gets the manpower advantage first tonight. The break in the action with the score. Islanders nothing, the North Stars nothing.
Draws the first penalty of the game. It's a holding penalty. It's down in the corner. Dino Ciccarelli, whatever we're going to use tonight, gets hurt on the play, Jiggs McDonald. We did not see it. He went to the bench. He's still facing the back of the bench. His left leg he had hurt when Clark Gillies ran into him in the corner of the rink.
Now Minnesota on the power play. Hartsburg from the line. A shot, missed, the pad save, and the rebound went wide. That was McAdam who was there for the rebound, and now Payne from back of the net. Centered one, and it was broken up. McCarthy left the puck for Payne. Shot from the line, hit Trottier. Morrow steps into Payne. Both of them go to the ice. McAdam comes out of the corner. Back of the goal. Young, who did not take the warm-up, is out there. And Trottier picks up the puck, clears it down into the Minnesota zone. So Tim Young, number 17, is in that North Star lineup.
Odd, Jiggs, that they wouldn't skate him in the warm-up and then surprise everybody with him when the game starts.
Here's Bobby Smith into the Islander zone. Was checked. There's going to be a penalty.
Brian Trottier is going to draw the second Islander penalty. Only there's 1 minute and 16 seconds left on Callers. Trottier is going to get a hooking penalty. So the Islanders will be 2 men short. Remember the other night, Bob Bourne got a 5-minute penalty to begin the game. The Islanders were going to be shorthanded for 5 minutes on a spearing penalty. They scored twice. Here's Brian Trottier getting right there, a hooking penalty. That was on number 28, Steve Kristoff. Dino Cicerelli is out there. He's favoring his left leg, Jiggs. Clark Gillies hit him a pretty good shot. Looked like he caught him around the top of the leg.
It's Morrow, Goring, and Potvin for the Islanders, and Morrow dumped the puck down the ice. Bobby Smith, Cicerelli out there for Minnesota, along with Kristoff on the left side. This is Roberts at center. He's in after his own rebound. Back of the net. Right into Potvin. The puck loose. Cicerelli out of the corner. Backs it around the boards for Kristoff. Kristoff handed it right to Morrow, and he fires it into center ice. 45 seconds left in the penalty time against Kaller. That's the first penalty. Smith's shot went wide of the Islander goal, and Potvin picks it up. The look, and then fired it down the ice.
Good play, Dennis Potvin and Billy Smith letting the puck come off the backboards right to the stick of Dennis Potvin, where he got it down the ice.
Kristoff sends Bobby Smith into the Islander zone. Smith put it out in front. Smith, Billy that is, got a piece of that. Now Bobby Smith for the North Stars. Trying to come out in front of Billy Smith, the Islander goaltender. Plays it rink wide. Kristoff shoots. That was blocked, went right to Smith, and is cleared by Potvin. Maxwell from the blue line. That shot went wide of the net. Hartsburg from the left point. Hartsburg into the corner. Kaller is back on. Islanders 1 man short down. North Stars. Hartsburg is shot. Smith the save. They score in the rebound. Cicerelli gets the rebound, and the North Stars take the lead.
It's a rebound, and Dino Cicerelli, number 20, for the Minnesota North Stars, gets the goal. Came from the side of the net to the point man. That's the shot. Here's the save by Billy Smith, and look where Cicerelli is. Both the Islander defensemen were up high. Cicerelli gets in behind them, takes the rebound, and puts it in. You see him, Dennis Potvin, just a little bit late getting to him. Ken Morrow close by, but they were not close enough. And the penalties have been costly to the New York Islanders as Minnesota takes a 1-0 lead.
Cicerelli's 13th playoff goal. Hartsburg an assist. Along with Kristoff, the time of the goal is 3:38. So Cicerelli from Hartsburg and Kristoff at 3:38. With Trottier sitting out the hooking penalty.
3:38.
Hartsburg's shot from the point was a good one, Jiggs. It was low, it was hard. Smith made a good save, but rebounds can be dangerous. Both the defensemen were too far out. Cicerelli got in behind him, and that's a dangerous place for him to be, and he made it pay off for the Minnesota North Stars.
2 power play goals in the series now for Minnesota. The Islanders had none in the opening game here Tuesday night. So the team's at 6 aside as Greg Smith failed to clear it out. Lorimer at the blue line. Around behind the net to Trottier. Trottier to Bourne. Chased to the corner by Palmer. Bossy is knocked down in front of the net. Barrett's going to get the gate. Bossy, parked in front of the Minnesota goal, was flattened on a hit by Barrett. So the Islanders go to the power play. The break in the action with the score. Minnesota North Stars 1, the New York Islanders no score.
Lots of more.
A penalty. Fred Barrett in front of the net knocked Michael Bossy down. As Bob Bourne goes for a puck that he had broken loose, Barrett takes Mike Bossy down, gets a holding penalty. Now the Islanders will have a power play.
Barrett for holding. 4:08 the time of the penalty. Bourne back to McEwen at the point to Bourne. Bourne shoots. Blocked by Beaupre, and he covered up. The first time he's been tested.
Getting help from number 4 Hartsburg and number 5 Maxwell. The rebound. Beaupre got a hold of it, dropped right at his feet. Both defensemen doing what the Islanders did not do at their end. Take someone out of the play. Do not leave a loose puck or a loose opposing player free around the net.
Bourne just fed it back to McEwen into Bob Bourne. Bourne, Bossy, and Trottier up front. The puck back of that Minnesota goal, but in the skates of Anderson. And we'll get a face-off again in the Minnesota territory.
Fans reacting. Bossy and Trottier both moved back away from number 7, Neil Broughton. He was holding the puck against the boards. Referee blew the whistle, but it could have been called as a delay of the game, but he did not enough. Referee Lewis didn't. Blew it right away.
Trottier won the face-off, but the North Stars clear it to the line. Here's Denny Potvin. Rink wide to McEwen. McEwen in front to Bossy. Shoots, he scores!
He did it again. Michael Bossy, a power play goal. With great speed, Bossy gets his 14th goal of the season. Islanders moving the puck well. It's very difficult to defend against a play like that. Potvin to McEwen. 16 McEwen looking, and he finds Mike Bossy right in the slot area. And as quick as it hits his stick, it's in the net. Number 8, Kent Eric Anderson, could not get to him quick enough. Bossy, with his fast release, gets the puck on the back of his stick and lets it go. Look at him. He's got the stick in the air, yelling to Mike McEwen, give me the puck. And he did. He put it in. It's 1-1 now. 15 minutes and 27 seconds remaining still here in the first period. The tie score at 1 apiece.
Bossy from McEwen and Denny Potvin at 4:33.
Power play goal at 4:33.
Ciccarelli scored on a power play for Minnesota at the 3:38 mark. So we're tied at 1.
Ciccarelli had scored his 5th power play goal, and that was Mike Bossy's 9th.
Now in front of that Minnesota goal, Roberts with the puck up the right side to McAdam. Trying to come in on the boards. Taken out by Langevin. Benelli coming back, and we're going to get a holding penalty here. Langevin appears to be ticketed for the box. There is a break in the action with the score tied. The Islanders won, the North Stars won.
Compare a Trailways to a Greyhound. How about to a Mercedes? Both have fuel-efficient diesels.
The 4th penalty. We have not played 5 minutes into the first period. Dave Langevin right there. He gets a holding penalty on Al McAdam, number 25 of the Minnesota North Stars. So now the North Stars, who have scored an early power play goal, Ciccarelli, get another opportunity with Langevin off for holding. That's also the 3rd holding penalty in the game so far.
Tim Young on the face-off for Minnesota.
Caller was off for holding, Trottier for hooking, Barrett for holding, and Langevin also for holding.
Now Billy Carroll took the draw against McAdam after Young had been waved out. Potvin around to Trottier. The puck knocked away from him. Denny Potvin picks it up. Potvin ahead to Trottier, but play is called as Morrow and McAdam shoving at one another. Both have gone to the ice, and both are going to go to the penalty box as well.
Referee Lewis establishing early that he's not going to put up with any nonsense in his hockey game here at the Nassau Coliseum. He waves Al McAdam, number 25, to the box along with Ken Morrow of the Islanders.
Islanders penalty to number 6, Ken Morrow. 2 minutes each for high sticking.
2 minutes each. High sticking. McAdam of Minnesota and Kenny Morrow of the Islanders.
Those penalties called at the 5:04 mark.
And again, the teams do not play a man short because of them. They're coincidental minor penalties with a penalty already in progress. That was Langevin's holding penalty.
Referee Lewis again checking the way they line up in this face-off. He's overwatching Payne and Lorimer in particular, and the Islanders have fired the puck down into the Minnesota zone. Tom Beaupre leaves it for Craig Hartsburg. Scoring in forechecking, forced Hartsburg to turn. Now the pass to Maxwell. Rink wide. Steve Payne sends Tim Young into the Islanders zone. He missed the check from Potvin, but fell, and the puck is dumped back into the Minnesota territory. This is Hartsburg, number 4, carrying it around behind the net. Billy Carroll in pursuit of him is ridden off. Now Young takes the pass from Hartsburg ahead to Payne. Payne dumps it in wide of the net. Denny Potvin chasing it. Potvin to Lorimer, slaps it off the boards. Here's Brad Maxwell at the line. In front to Payne. Payne shot, hit Potvin, and is cleared by Carroll. Hartsburg out at center ice, waiting for his teammates to come back. A minute remaining in the penalty against Langevin. And Minnesota unable to take the pass. It was Payne who's trying to come in on the left wing, and the Islanders forced them back. Caller is out with Trottier to kill off the balance of the penalty. Brad Maxwell into center ice. Shoots one around the boards. Billy Smith will cut that off for Gord Lane. And Lane rifles it out of there. 35 seconds left in the penalty to Langevin. Again, Brad Maxwell clearing it out of his own zone. This is Ciccarelli on the right side. Across the line. Knocked it to Bobby Smith. It was broken up, and here comes Trottier. Trottier one-on-one, but he just dumped the puck in over the line. Giles had fallen, taking him out of the play. Now Kurt Giles dumps it into the Islanders zone. Lorimer chasing it with Kristoff. Lorimer to Trottier. Works it around the boards. Lane comes to the left side, but Giles beat him to it. Minnesota moving it around much quicker tonight than they did in the first game. Bobby Smith back to Giles. Over to the far side to Roberts. Take the shot. Roberts lets it go. Billy Smith got in front of it, and Trottier backhands it out of there. Langevin was back on. Smith is shaken up after making that save. The Islanders called for icing. Al Arbor at the Islander bench. Billy Smith
took the shot, Jiggs. It's right above his pad. Goaltenders, when they drop on their knees before the shot, they open up and expose an area just above their kneecap that is very vulnerable to shots like this. As the shot comes in, you see Billy Smith dropping down to his knees. You see now, you can see he's hurt himself. His left leg, it'll go a little numb on him. He'll lose the feeling in it. It's like getting hit on the funny bone. And your sensations all leave, along with a little pain coming in. But he's all right now. It'll subside as time goes along. But when they go down like that, they leave their kneecap area open in the area just above the knee.
Now the Islanders, following the draw, have cleared the puck into center ice. It's shot right back into the New York zone. Chasing it is Mike McEwen, and it's going to be called offside against the North Stars. There is a break in the action with the score tied. Islanders won, the North Stars won. Jiggs McDonald with Ed Westfall here at the Nassau Coliseum. We have 12 minutes, 44 seconds remaining in the opening period. Ryan Lewis, the referee, talking with Fred Barrett, the captain of the Minnesota North Stars, and he is over relaying the message to Glenn Sonmore, who is now up and screaming.
Obviously, whatever Barrett told him, he didn't really like, didn't agree with. He's jawing at Lewis now, saying, "What are you talking about? Are you crazy?" I don't know what they're arguing over, Jiggs. Do you have any idea?
None. No, I don't. Certainly Glenn Sonmore's interpretation of whatever happened didn't agree with Brian Lewis.
No question about it, but Brian Lewis gets the last say.
And as play gets underway, it's Barrett feeding the puck to the far side. Greg Smith for Minnesota into center ice. He was tied up by Billy Carroll, and Barrett chases the puck back into his own zone. 1-1 tie. Barrett to Palmer. Palmer dumps it into center ice. McEwen has it for the Islanders. Got it around the boards. Beaupre leaves it for Barrett. Barrett pulled it away from the check of Carroll. The puck loose on the far boards. McEwen comes in quickly. Dumps it around to Billy Carroll. Now to Dwayne Sutter. Sutter ridden into the corner. Broughton has him tied up. Now Gillies takes his man out of the play. Langevin with a shot. Beaupre the save. Sutter is hauled down in front of the net. No penalty, and the North Stars come out to center ice. Broughton check there. It's picked up by Greg Smith. Smith shot blocked by Billy Smith. There's it for Langevin up the left side to Carroll. He ran into Barrett, and the puck is loose at center ice.
Good play by Billy Carroll. He took Barrett, played the body there with the puck going out toward the point. It's a good move by young Billy Carroll on Freddie Barrett.
He just had Barrett lined up for a check on the boards and missed it, and McEwen goes back to touch up. Minnesota called for icing.
What happens there, Jiggs, is that the point man in this case, Fred Barrett, the right point man for Minnesota, the puck is coming to him slow. The puck came around the boards. It's coming up behind Billy Carroll. He cannot look back. If he does, Barrett will line him up and knock the stuffing out of him. So he goes right for Barrett, knowing that the puck's got to arrive there somewhere about the same time. If he takes him out and one of his teammates is coming up through center ice, they've got a 2-on-1 break. Good move by the young Billy Carroll.
Sure was. He is impressed.
He has played some game the other night. He and Butch Goring, but he was outstanding. Just love the way he checks and skates.
Nystrom shot. Hit his teammate Tonelli, and the North Stars force the Islanders back into their own territory. On the left wing, John Tonelli dumps it into center ice. Chasing it is Merrick. 2-on-1 with Nystrom open on the right side. Merrick centers. Nystrom was checked from behind by Payne. Now Morrow into the corner to Merrick. Couldn't get a stick on it. Here's Nystrom for the Islanders. Pulls it away from a check. Put it out in front, but it was cleared aside. Payne back in his own zone. Knocked down on the boards by Tonelli. Tonelli kicks it around to Nystrom. Nystrom back of that goal. Looks for a man in front. Bobby Nystrom trying to get it to Morrow, and that's broken up. Into center ice, Minnesota trying to get a 2-on-1 going, but back comes Morrow, and Minnesota moved in offside anyway.
Al McAdam, it was Payne, number 26. No, it was McAdam. He was on the right side. A 2-on-1 they had, and he got across the line ahead of the puck. Bad move by Al McAdam, creating the offside stoppage of play. They had a good chance for 2-on-1 right to the net on Billy Smith. Nullified, a little over anxious to get in the Islanders' end of the ice was Al McAdam.
Trache out with Bourne and Bossy for the Islanders. Bobby Smith centering this line with Ciccarelli and McCarthy for Minnesota.
Tim Young had skated it twice now in this period. Noticeably, his one leg has been bothering him.
Using him primarily on their power play chances. The Islanders are called for icing. We have 10 minutes and 26 seconds remaining in the opening period. Ciccarelli scored at 3:38, then Bossy at 4:33. Both via the power play. Trache was off for hooking when Ciccarelli scored. Barrett was serving a holding penalty when Bossy scored.
As we watch Bob Bourne skate back, I think we mentioned, Jiggs, that before the game he received the Budweiser Player of the Year, I would say now. Each game the star was picked. Bobby Bourne was picked more often in more games than anybody else on the Islander team and received that award.
There is Bobby Bourne taking the pass back from Trache and firing it into that Minnesota zone. Beaupre banks it off the glass. Bourne lets it go to Lorimer. He's shooting. That deflected off Bobby Smith and up into the crowd. Game 3 in this series at the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. Sunday night, 7:30. That'll be 8:30 Eastern Time. That'll be on Islanders television and radio. And again on Tuesday night, 8:30 Eastern Time for Game 4. If Game 5 is necessary, it'll be here at the Nassau Coliseum a week from tonight. It goes 6 games. It's back at Minnesota for Saturday. Game 7, if necessary, would be here at the Coliseum the following Tuesday. Langevin feeding the puck off the boards. This is Goring across the Minnesota line. Gave it to Kaller. Drops it to Gillies. He's checked. Langevin from the line. The whistle had sounded on an offside.
The puck had just got out enough across the blue line. Any part of the puck that completely clears the outside edge of the blue line and is taken back in, it's offside. Close, yet so far away.
And there is that blue line.
Some talk about experimenting in the future, taking the red line out again. Many years ago, in the early years of the National Hockey League, there was no center ice red line, dividing the ice equally in half.
Billy Smith comes up with a save and a long shot. Now Gillies checked at his own blue line by Broughton. Mark Gillies, with help from Goring, able to clear it into center ice. Barrett has it. We're tied 1-1 as Barrett takes a hit from Gillies after dumping it into the Islander zone. Backboard is McEwen. McEwen, being bothered by Broughton, gave it to Kaller. To Goring. Open up by Palmer. Bob Palmer checked at center ice. Islanders forced into their own zone. Gillies just took a run at Kristoff on the open wing. And Langevin for the New York Islanders feeds the puck to Goring. Into center. Rolls to the right across the Minnesota line. Goring, a burst of speed around Tim Young. Comes back to the net. Out in front, Langevin shoots. That went high and wide of the net. McEwen from the blue line. Round the boards again. Goring chasing it. Can't get there in time. Langevin comes in. He didn't arrive in time. He took a run at Kristoff. And Langevin is going to get the gate. There's a break in the action. The score tied. The Islanders won. The North Stars won.
Dave Langevin, his second penalty of the first period, an elbowing penalty at 11:01. Islanders again in a penalty-killing situation. The Minnesota North Stars scored on their first power play opportunity.
Here's Payne into the Islanders zone. Steve Payne back to the point. Hartsburg couldn't hold it. Out to Maxwell at center ice. Now to Payne. Payne shoots the puck around the boards. Billy Smith cuts it off. Langevin for elbowing at 11:01 is the penalty against the Islanders. Hartsburg shot it into the corner. Bourne got there ahead of Young and cleared it into center ice. Hartsburg. He and Brad Maxwell on the points of this Minnesota power play. Number 4 is Hartsburg. Checked by Morrow as he came to the Islander line. Now Young fed it to the right side to McAdam, and Potvin steps into him. Trache clears it, not out. Brad Maxwell, a backhand shot, blocked in front. It's loose, a drive, just went wide of the net as McAdam let it go, and Smith covers up as the puck came out in front. Picks up a little high, some shoving going on. Eddie Potvin, McAdam in the middle of that. Billy Smith, in the meantime, is still crouched over the puck, huddling over it. He's not been the active goaltender through the playoffs that he was a year ago, 18.
No, Billy Smith said Wednesday at my center ice club, as we look at the replay, puck just eluding 25, Al McAdam. He got the shot away, shot it wide. He could not get a good shot away on it. He hits Potvin, knocks him down. A little bit of a retaliation from Potvin, but Billy Smith said that he felt that as long as he was stopping the puck, it was main objective in the playoffs was to concentrate and work on stopping the puck. And as he was more successful with it, and he seemed to gain more confidence in doing it that way, he decided to let the players in front of him, the defensemen and his forwards, look after the players around his crease, and he'd concentrate on the puck, and this worked out well for him. He also said that not many players had been intimidating him around the crease as often as they had in series with Boston last year, with Philadelphia.
Yeah, I was just going to say he hasn't had the company that he was keeping a year ago.
As a matter of fact, you wouldn't believe it. Who else was at my center ice luncheon but Gary Dornhofer, one of the real nemesis of Billy Smith in Flyer Islander contests.
Free lunch, you knew that Dornhofer would be there.
I didn't want to say that.
I'll say it. Potvin clearing it the length of the ice. 35 seconds left in the penalty time against Langevin. Got to remember, too, that we probably have some of the Flyers watching tonight on WTAF in Philadelphia.
Right.
They know all about Billy Smith. Lorimer slapping it around the boards. It was held in on the far side. Bobby Smith to the blue line for Roberts. Back to Smith. Let it go to Cicerelli. Christoph turning in front of the net. Then Cicerelli was knocked down. Got it to Roberts. Roberts in along the boards. Bobby Smith to the blue line to Barrett. Barrett shot right on. Smith the save, and he grabs the rebound. It may have been going wide, but it was headed toward the net, and Billy Smith just dove to his right. Now Lane gets involved. And Smith looks on. A little confrontation off to the side of the Islander goal. Billy Carroll having some words with an old teammate of his, Dino Cicerelli. They were at London together in the OHA.
Have not had too many breakouts in the series. The series with Calgary and Minnesota had few, and Ranger Islander series had very few. Here's Billy Smith's save. It hit Gordy Lane. It looked like it was heading back toward the net. Bill Smith not taking any chances as he dives on the puck. And the defenseman in clearing away players that are looking for rebounds. One of them, Dino Cicerelli. As we watch him go to the bench, Gord Lane gets after him. He goes after Billy Carroll, so Cicerelli takes a little jab at Carroll. Nothing developed. We're glad of that.
Cicerelli did not endear himself to the Islanders or their fans here in Tuesday night's game when he shot the puck at Brian Trache. Deliberately shot it right at him. Play underway in the Minnesota zone. Trache has failed to set up Bossy, and this on the far side is McCarthy dumping it down into the Islanders zone. Billy Smith has to play it. That avoids any icing. 6 minutes, 40 seconds remaining in the first period. We're tied 1-1. Bob Lorimer dumped it into center, just under the reach of Gillies. Barrett for Minnesota to Greg Smith. Smith fires it wide of the Islander goal, and this will be called back for icing as Lane picks it up. We're down to 6:25 left in the first period. There's a break in the action with the score tied. The Islanders won, the North Stars won.
Not fair, Jiggs, not fair. What a great ad. I'm hungry. Face-off in Minnesota's end of the ice. Last game, 11 of 20 face-offs in Minnesota's end. The Islanders won. In their own end of the ice, they won 12 of 20.
Here's McEwen from the blue line. Beaupre the save, the rebound. They bang at it. It's underneath Beaupre.
Close call, a loose puck. Freddie Barrett trying his best to help young Don Beaupre, the goaltender for the Minnesota North Stars, as the puck gets jarred loose. Trache moving in close, so was Bourne, all surrounding the goaltender looking for the loose puck.
Now Trache in the draw. Got it to the far boards, but the North Stars able to clear it into center. This is McEwen back to Langevin. Bonjamin fires one high and wide of the net. Bossy comes in on the right wing. Greg Smith beat him to it. Plays it around the boards. Here's Trottier into the corner to Bourne. He runs into Barrett, knocking him down, and Barrett gets up slowly. Bossy comes from back of the net. Got a shot away, but that was blocked. And play has been called. Barrett
got the wind knocked out of him. Bob Bourne hit him with a stiff, straight-up check right in the middle of the breastbone, and that knocks the wind out of you. And Freddie Barrett went down. He got up, struggling, trying to get back in the play. He knows that his team were short-handed with him out of the play. Here it is here. There's Barrett. Watch the shoulder of Bourne. Hits him right in the middle of the chest. Lifted him right off his feet. Tremendous check by Bob Bourne. Barrett went down heavily, got back up. He was trying, Jiggs, to get back in the play. That's a valiant effort by Barrett. When you're knocked kind of a little fuzzy the way he was, you get spun around, and you actually do not know which is up, which is down, but he was trying to regain his feet. Tried once and fell down and fell the second time.
Now we saw Barrett over at the Minnesota bench. Bob Bourne has gone to the Islander bench as Hal Arbor has sent Barrett, Nystrom, and Tonelli out there, along with Potvin and Morrow at the points. 1-1 tie.
As I was saying, 11 of 20 face-offs on Tuesday night's game, or the first game. The Islanders won in Minnesota's end of the ice.
That's remarkable. The pass to Tonelli, a backhander, Beaupre the save. McAdam failed to pick up the rebound. Anderson coming out in the right wing, ran into Merrick. The puck went into the penalty box. 5:37 remaining in the opening period.
And speaking of face-offs, there's a guy that'll win a lot of face-offs for you. Not Beaupre, number 11 for the Islanders, Wayne Merrick. In the center ice, or neutral part of the ice, the Minnesota North Stars won 23 of 41 face-offs. So they did better in the neutral area. The Islanders did well in their own and Minnesota's ends of the ice.
Tough to score from a face-off in the center ice area, though, 18.
Definitely, but possession is still a big thing.
Oh, true. Here's Nystrom. He scores!
And speaking of possession, Bobby Nystrom from the left side again. His right-hand shot off the left side fools Don Beaupre, John Tonelli, Wayne Merrick, all in there digging hard. And Bob Nystrom gets the loose puck. Number 4, Hartsburg, goes down trying to block it. He actually blocks the view. John Tonelli got the puck. Nystrom quickly shot it. Hartsburg, number 4, did not get a chance to get in front of the shot. He got in front of his goaltender, who did not see it. And Bob Nystrom has given the Islanders a 2-1 lead. Bobby Nystrom, his 5th goal of the playoffs.
The assist to number 11, Wayne Merrick, and number 27, John Tonelli.
Merrick and Tonelli on the assist. The goal at 14:39. Nystrom is 5th of this playoff here. Merrick and Tonelli at 14:39. Islanders lead it 2-1.
Good hustle by the line again, Jiggs. Wayne Merrick in digging along with John Tonelli, and Tonelli got the loose puck. Nystrom seemed to just take it off his stick as Tonelli was knocked down, and he just ushered it quickly into the left side of the net. Good shot by Bob Nystrom. The thing there, if you're in close and the puck is loose, get it away quickly. Any shot around the net, close in, get it away quick. Doesn't give the goaltender time to set up for the shot. Nystrom did not give Beaupre time, and he put it by him.
Now Goring on the face-off, as Sutter and Gillies with him. Lane and Lorimer, the Islander defense. This is Giles for Minnesota. Young defenseman plays it up the left side. It hit Bobby Smith, and Dwayne Sutter just dumps it back into the Minnesota zone. Here's Gillies coming in around the check of Giles, but then played it wide. Goring back in the net. Sutter couldn't get a stick on it. The puck ends up down in the Islander territory.
Good hustle by Clark Gillies. Sprung himself loose, but he could not get the shot away.
Lorimer turned it off a skate into center ice. Jack Carlson fires it right back to the Islanders zone. Lorimer to Goring, pokes it in over the line. Sutter comes in after, can't get a stick on it. Carlson handed it right to Sutter. Sutter to Goring. He couldn't pick up the pass, and Carlson feeds it down to Ciccarelli. Long shot bounces off Lane into the Islanders zone. Ward and Carlson go to the boards together. Lane clearing the puck along the left wing to Goring. Now to Sutter. Wayne Sutter. Greg Smith back for Minnesota. Sutter unable to get around him completely, and Bobby Smith takes over for the North Stars. Smith Up the right side to Ciccarelli. Lost it to Brian Trottier. Trottier back to Langevin. Over to McEwen. Now to Bourne. Into center. Back to Trottier. Trottier fires it wide of the Minnesota goal. Bourne in after it. Right into Barrett again, knocking him down. Here's Bossy back of the goal. Out in front to Trottier. And he was turned around by Greg Smith and knocked down. Bossy gets a shot away. Grabbed by Beaupre, and he holds on.
Hustle by the Islanders. That's how they get goals. They got a lot of them during the regular season and in the playoffs. From what we just saw, the same thing, the same thing, the same pattern. Good hustle by Bob Bourne, knocking Barrett down again. Trottier in quickly, so was Bossy. Trottier swung at the puck, missed, knocked his man down, and Bossy, the puck was rolling. He couldn't get the shot away from point-blank range, right in front of Beaupre. His stick went underneath it. He hit it a little fat.
Now Langevin lets one go from the face-off. It's picked up in the corner by Bourne. Bourne turning. Tried to leave it for Bossy, and that was broken up. Broughton right into a check from Trottier. Here's Christoph over the line. Can't get around Dave Langevin, and McEwen comes up with the puck. Mike McEwen to Trottier over the line. It was checked by that Minnesota defense. Langevin has it again at center. Dave Langevin had a little difficulty in clearing it. Palmer back for Minnesota to Barrett. Freddie Barrett lofts it high into the Islanders zone. McEwen around the boards to John Tonelli on the left wing. Tonelli fired it into center. It's going to go the length of the ice. Nystrom can't get there in time. Greg Smith touching up. We have 2:59 remaining in the opening period. Ciccarelli for Minnesota, then Bossy and Nystrom for the Islanders. It's 2-1. A little less than 3 minutes to play.
Brian Trottier giving a friendly tap to John Tonelli. Sometimes icings like that are actually deliberate. John Tonelli, knowing that Al Arbour would like to change his lines, or if he's tired and can't get off, he'll shoot the puck down the ice deliberately. Players tell each other there's no shame if the lines are mixed up and they're trying to get players on and off and can't because the puck's in your own end of the ice. There's no shame in icing it down the other end just to get the stoppage of play.
Goring and Merrick, along with Nystrom for the Islanders. Merrick is going to take the draw. Goring is the insurance, of course. Should Merrick be waved out, they have another center ready. Tim Young against Wayne Merrick. It went to Goring, back to Potvin, to the right side for Nystrom. Dumped it into center. That's Hartsburg over to Brad Maxwell. Maxwell again fires it to the corner, forcing Morrow to go back. Denny Morrow around to Denny Potvin. Long pass to Nystrom, now to Merrick. Wayne Merrick to Tonelli, off his stick. Tonelli in around Brad Maxwell, picks it up, back of the net. Skated off the play and ends up on the ice. In the skates of Bob Nystrom. And finally, frozen, they roll for a face-off, although it appeared to be moving.
It did. John Tonelli signaling to the referee. Brian Lewis, that's a fast whistle. Don't do that to me. When I'm on the ice, I like to dig that puck out. And Bobby Nystrom does it well when John Tonelli and he are on the ice together. Nystrom will dig it loose. They do not want to tie it up. They like to keep it in motion, and Merrick will be cruising out in the high slot area.
Young against Merrick on the face-off. Wayne Merrick back to Kenny Morrow. Morrow's shot went wide of the net. Round to the right wing boards, and Brad Maxwell plays it into center ice. It got away from Denny Potvin, and Morrow hustles after it. And that's icing against Minnesota. 2:16 left in the first period.
Stanley Cup playoffs, Jiggs, have now gone 27 games without an overtime game, which is somewhat unusual. 2 overtime games during the quarterfinals. Buffalo defeating Minnesota 5-4. Craig Ramsey scored that goal at 16:32, and the Islanders defeated Edmonton 5-4.
You see the stick on the replay. You see Maxwell's stick go into the crowd. The fan had placed it under his seat. One of the security guards came down and retrieved it.
I want the stick for a souvenir. Maxwell says it's my only stick I can play with. I got to have it back.
Again, Merrick on the face-off against Tim Young. Merrick wins the draw. Back to Denny Potvin. Potvin shooting. He scores!
Beaupre beaten from the point by a shot from Dennis Potvin. A low shot. You could hear it click as it touched the inside of the left goal post. Not a hard shot. Beaupre was not screened. Look at the face-off. Face-offs again. Merrick to Potvin. Beaupre has a good look at the puck. Look where he is, though. He's away over on the right side of the net. He's hugging the goalpost. He did not move after the face-off. Wayne Merritt back here. There's Dennis Potvin, number 5, and right in off the left goalpost. That shot should not go in the net, but it did. Good shot by Potvin. Young Don Beaupre misplayed it.
Denny Potvin, that's his 7th playoff goal. Wayne Merrick, the only assist. The time of the goal is 17:48. It's 3-1 Islanders. The North Stars fire it down the ice. They're going to be called for icing as Lorimer touches up. We have 1 minute and 50 seconds remaining in the opening period. Denny Potvin's 7th playoff goal.
Sorry, Jiggs, it's a big goal for the Islanders, too. They now take a 3-1 lead, or hopefully for the Islanders. And, of course, the Minnesota North Stars are going to try and narrow it down. But with 1 minute and 50 seconds remaining in the first period, Dennis Potvin, the captain of the New York Islanders, has put the Islanders ahead by 2 goals. His 7th goal of the playoffs.
Now Goring is out with Caller and Gillies for the Islanders. Giles for the North Stars to Roberts. Trying to get it to Cicerelli on the right wing, and Gordy Lane dumps it to the Minnesota line. Giles to Cicerelli. Back to Giles. Over on the far side, that's Roberts with it. To Giles. Giles turning, trying to get away from Goring. Left it for Cicerelli. Checking by the Islanders. Amazing. Now here's Roberts into center ice. He backhands it into the Islanders zone. North Stars in the middle of a player change. Gordy Lane pulls it away from Bobby Smith. The two of them still struggling for control of it, and Billy Smith freezes it at the side of the net. 1 minute 10 remaining opening period.
Minnesota trying to make lateral passes just inside their own blue line. That's dangerous when you have fellas like Butch Goring and Andy Caller who are very quick to react. That pass between the defensemen can be costly if it's not made crisp. It has to be a fast pass because Goring, Caller, both cruising in the area, reach out with a stick, knock it down, and they'd be all the way in on the goaltender before they knew what to do.
Greg Smith from the faceoff, testing Billy Smith, who came up with the save. Now Palmer back at the Islander goal. Ridden into the boards by Longeman, and Bob Bourne feeds it rink wide to Bossy. Mike Bossy backhanding it into the Minnesota territory, but they ruled that Trottier and Bourne were both there ahead of the puck. But with 55 seconds left in the period, the offside results in a faceoff in the center ice area. Big cheer from the crowd, but I think it was for either an officer or a security person. Here's Trottier taking the draw against Neil Broughton of Minnesota. Broughton, along with Kristoff and Cicerelli. Broughton with the puck back in his own zone. Bourne ran into Barrett. Sticks come up, and referee Lewis. Bourne was ready to go after Barrett. Lewis is calling penalties here.
Bob Bourne took a check. Freddie Barrett trying to get back at him for the stiff check that Bourne had hit Barrett with earlier. Barrett got a run at Bourne, but he did not get him good. He looked like he got his stick and gloves. Right there, you see the elbow and the shove by Barrett. Then another one by Barrett. A left hook by Bourne. Barrett keeps coming. Bourne hits him with his glove and decides he wants to fight him. Barrett says, no, I'm not going to fight. Barrett gets a penalty anyway. Bourne gets one, obviously. So they both get penalties. 45 seconds. Barrett gets his for roughing. Bourne also for roughing. So the teams will be a man short through the end of this period, and 1 minute and 15 seconds into the second period.
North Stars have had 4 power play opportunities here in the first period. Been successful on 1. The Islanders are perfect. 1 for 1 on the power play tonight. They had only 3 power play chances in the first game of the series. Denny Potvin to Morrow, up the right wing to Nystrom. The penalties, Bourne, Barrett for roughing at 19:15 as Ferrick moves in and backhanded it just wide. Now Potvin at the blue line, unable to knock the puck loose. Kenny Morrow back in his own zone. Banks one off the boards into the Minnesota territory, right to Beaupre. We have 15 seconds left in this opening period. It's 3-1 Islanders as Hartsburg starts up. Greg Hartsburg into center ice. Nystrom blocked that pass intended for McAdam. Here's Maxwell as the fans come to their feet. A horn ending period number 1, and the Islanders, after giving up the opening goal on a Minnesota power play, came back with 3 of their own. One of them a power play, and at the end of 1 period of play, the score, the New York Islanders 3, the Minnesota North Stars 1.
Don't forget, if you have...
North Star Stanley Cup game is being brought to you as a courtesy of Cablevision of Boston. Tom Larson here with Ken Hodge. Between periods, score is 3-1 Islanders. This, of course, is Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Championship Series between the Islanders and the Minnesota North Stars. The Islanders won the first one 6-3. Seemed pretty well in command. We have 40 minutes to play, but after 20 minutes, they seem to have this one pretty well in hand.
Well, Minnesota really looks like a tired hockey club, and you also have to give credit to the fine job that the Islanders are doing. They're just out-skating Minnesota. Minnesota early in the game had a couple of power play opportunities. They capitalized on one, but they certainly haven't showed any real sustained pressure and really tested Billy Smith, nor have they tested the Islander defense, which I think possibly, if they get on quicker, could probably be susceptible a little bit.
Ken, tired, and they did have a longer series in the semifinals than the Islanders did. Tired is a possibility because they had that 6-game series, I believe it was, with Calgary. Is it possible they could be a little bit intimidated by the Islanders? They're a young team, the North Stars, just happy to be in the championship series, maybe mildly intimidated by the Islanders. Tired, maybe a little bit of the other. Or does that not figure in?
I don't really think any team, to be as far as the North Stars have gone, can be intimidated. I think coming back to the Boston series and the fiasco that took place at the Boston Gardens in February when Minnesota and Boston took something like an hour and a half to play the first period of that,
I remember
that game, really was a coming together for the Minnesota North Stars Hockey Club. And probably if you wanted to pinpoint something and look upon something as a drawing together of the North Stars club to put them as far maybe as they've gone right now, that could be a key as far as they were concerned. No club gets as far as the Minnesota North Stars have gone by being intimidated, and I certainly don't think they're intimidated now. I just think they're a leg-weary hockey club. I think that the Islanders are a rested hockey club. They dispatched with the New York Rangers in 4 straight. They are confident. They're a stronger hockey club, and they also have a little more depth on their bench.
No question you don't get to the point where they are by being intimidated. I think it's interesting that there's such a Boston flavor to this North Star club. That milestone that we've talked about here on at intermissions of other games, that game against the Bruins at Boston Garden, and the fact that they started this whole Cinderella thing, zap, 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 3 in a row against the Bruins. The Bruins, in a negative way, I guess, had a lot to do with the North Stars' history and their success this year.
Well, you certainly don't like to pick on that any team to really be your success, but I would have to say if you wanted to pinpoint a crucial period for the North Stars coming together in that game. They finally came together, and going back even further than that, when the night that John Winsink challenged the Minnesota North Stars bench, I think it all even goes back a little further than even this year, and I think that point had to be dealt with as far as the Minnesota North Stars were concerned, if they were going to go anywhere as far as the playoffs were concerned. And that game probably was where they felt we had to come together and do something.
There have been some comparisons made between this Islanders hockey team and the Montreal clubs of a few years ago, that they're a club that can play any style you want to play, and they'll play it well enough to beat you. Do you see that in the Islanders? Well,
I think the series against the Bruins last year, when the Bruins and the Islanders went toe-to-toe, was probably there again another point where the Islanders felt that they had to stand their ground. They made a couple of trades last year. They received a gift, I believe, when they acquired Butch Goring from the Los Angeles Kings. A key point as far as they were concerned. This allowed Trottier to concentrate more on either doing less than what he was asked to do before. It really opened up the penalty killing aspect. They had Trottier to rely upon, but they also had a key penalty killer in Butch Goring. He gave them strength on another line. And they've come up with a lot of good, fine young hockey players. They've drafted well, and they've done quite well. They've been patient with their club. A lot was asked of them early, and they're finally coming into their own now.
No, it's interesting. The Islanders have come this far, and they are still a very young. They were one of the expansion teams. I can remember times when the Islanders were a laugh. When the Islanders came to Boston Garden, nobody, well, Yeah, people showed up, but in comparison with what you'd expect, not much of a crowd. That was not a club that you wanted to see, and here they are now, the defending Stanley Cup champions, and most people figuring they'll win it again. That would be 2 straight years. A team that was laughable probably 9 years ago.
Probably one of the biggest things that have happened to these clubs where the Bruins really haven't totally benefited by it, or the Montreal Canadiens, is that the Islanders had some great #1 draft choices. They were at the bottom of the league. They came in. They didn't deal away their draft choices. They got a great defenseman in Dennis Potvin. They got Bossy. They got Billy Harris earlier, and they made the trade for Billy Harris and picked up Goring. They've developed some of their young players in their farm system. They've had patience. Bob Nystrom's come a long way. They've just developed a tremendous hockey club and a tremendous program, and you can see the depth that they have, and they just keep turning out younger hockey players and good, solid hockey players.
Kenny and I will be back, and we'll take a look at some of the action highlights of the first period of tonight's game from Nassau County Coliseum. The score is the Islanders 3 and the Minnesota North Stars 1. It is Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Championships. We'll be back in a moment. Box.
Well, unfortunately, they both, Trottier and Keller, got 2 penalties. 2 of their better penalty killers. But you're going to see here a fine play. Hartsburg shoots the puck, and Cicerelli is allowed to get behind the defense and gets the rebound away from Smith and just parks it into the far corner. Good break for Minnesota early on.
Didn't have a lead for very long, though. Less than a minute later, the Islanders came back to get one of their own right there.
Well, with McEwen and Potvin here assisted, and McEwen made a great play. He just looked for Bossy, and when you have a scorer like Bossy up there, it's a good thing to give him the puck. Here, Bossy just knocks the puck away from Beaupre and almost scored his 2nd goal in a row right there.
All right, we're getting now later into the first period. Score still tied at 1-1, but the Islanders got a couple of more.
Nystrom just comes out here and fires a quick shot to the glove side far corner. Fortunately for the Islanders there, all 3 of their players were trapped in that one left side of the rink, and Nystrom is allowed to walk out with the puck, and he just fires a quick wrist shot just by the glove of Beaupre, and really had no chance. Here you're going to see all 3 of them are in the corner together, and Nystrom walks out and fires a quick shot, and I think that Beaupre was a little screened there by Hartsburg as he was going down.
That made it 2-1. This one makes it 3-1 Islanders.
Fine play here. You got to give credit to Wayne Merrick. I mean, he wins the draw back to Potvin, wins it cleanly. Potvin walks in and blasts it off the left post, and I just think that Beaupre could have probably been coming out and challenging the shot a little bit more. And you know, when you start banging the puck off the post, you know things are not going in your way. Here you're going to see a great play here by Merrick. He wins the draw back. Potvin walks in. He's got a good slap shot here. Keeps it low, and Beaupre just seems to be a little too far over to his right. He probably could have been coming out and a little more to his left, and the puck goes off the far goal post.
So it's 3-1 Islanders, and the shots on goal in that first period, Islanders 11 and the Minnesota North Stars 9. The Islanders won the first game by a score of 6-3. Minnesota has led in this series by a total of 50-some seconds, and that was from the time of the Cicerelli goal until Bossy responded at 4 minutes 33 seconds. 80 minutes, and the Islanders, or the North Stars, have led for less than a minute of those 80 minutes of hockey. We'll be back. Check the summary of the first period in a moment. Here's the way it happened in the first period. Dino Cicerelli scored for the Islanders on a for the North Stars on a power play at 3 minutes and 38 seconds. Christoph and Hartsburg had the 2 assists on the goal, and for a very brief period of time, the North Stars led in the hockey game. Then the Islanders came back. They would score 3 in a row. Mike Bossy with a power play goal for the Islanders at 4 minutes 33 seconds. Dennis Potvin and McEwen had the assist. That tied the score at 1-1. Then it was Bob Nystrom at 14:39 from Tonelli and Merrick. For Nystrom, his 5th of the playoffs. That gave the Islanders the lead at 2-1, and they moved that up to 3-1 when Dennis Potvin scored at 17 minutes and 48 seconds, his 7th of the playoffs, and the assist went to Merrick. 3-1 Islanders, the score at the end of the first period. Shots on goal, Islanders with 11, and the Minnesota North Stars with 9. Penalty minutes in that period, by the way, there were 12 called against the New York Islanders, 12 minutes in penalties, 6 minors, and 3 penalties, 6 minutes called against the Minnesota North Stars. And one of the things that it looked there for a while as though the North Stars, who would probably be well advised to avoid the Islanders' power play, that they didn't mind banging around a little bit, maybe taking a penalty here and there.
Well, I think they realize they have to come out and play a hard, aggressive game and avoid taking penalties, but they have to play the body. The Islanders right now are just skating all over the place, and to slow them down. It's exactly what Calgary had to do to Minnesota the other night in Calgary. They had to play the body, slow them down, and allow them to pick up the tempo themselves and carry it on.
Let's check that second period, Ken. It's coming up here. Let's go back to Nassau County Coliseum. Jiggs McDonald and former Bruin Ed Westfall doing the color and analysis.
Well, we hope you're enjoying this telecast from the Nassau Coliseum on SportsChannel, both on Manhattan Cable and on teleprompter tonight. We welcome you. Of course, the service soon to be available regularly with SportsChannel on those cable companies. And we welcome the audience on good old TV 38 in Boston. Dick Dalrymple is here looking after things for them. And we're also on the air tonight in Philadelphia in WTAF, the Philadelphia Flyers station, Channel 29.
Back in Boston, my two daughters, I understand, Kim and Sherry, are watching the game. I want to say hello to them, their mother.
Probably wondered for a long time what Dad did for a living, huh?
Yeah, now, well, listen, everybody has to find out what Dad does for a living at some time. Dad's had so many jobs.
I can remember when my youngsters reached that age, they finally realized what their dad did, and they said, they pay you for that? Yes, but not well. Or not nearly often enough. Maybe that's it. It's Merrick and Nystrom up front. Potvin and Morrow on the Islander defense as Bourne and Barrett continue to serve their roughing penalties. Called at 19:15 of that opening period. This is Payne, number 26 for Minnesota. Steve Payne's long shot. Smith blocked it and then went down and covered up.
Often people wonder why a goaltender, when he makes that save, does not unload it or pass it off to his defenseman. What happens in that case? Billy Smith going down just a little bit early again. He gets the puck trapped in the top part of his pads, kind of sinks into the padding on the inside on the top of his pads, and he can't get a hold of it with the big mitts on, so he can't get it loose and make a play with it, so he just goes down, holds onto it, and stops the play.
Now Merrick to face off against Al McAdam. McAdam got the draw in the Islander zone. Back to Roberts. Around the boards. Morrow let it go to Denny Potvin. Up the left side to Trottier. Merrick moving up with him. Trottier over the line. He's shooting. Grabbed by Beaupre. He started to go down. Reached up with that catching glove. This is Roberts for Minnesota. Up the left wing to Payne. Nystrom comes over to stop him. Picked up by Roberts. Roberts played it in around Morrow, then was spun around and knocked down. Here's Wayne Merrick for the Islanders. Merrick with 2 assists here tonight to go along with an excellent first game where he scored 2 goals. Kenny Morrow feeds the pass for Potvin. Into center, 20 seconds left in the penalties. This is Nystrom trying to come in around Roberts. Turns back at the blue line. That's a goal off the stick hand of the goaltender Beaupre. Now Potvin to Merrick at the side of the net. Couldn't feed it out in front to Nystrom. Cody Roberts for Minnesota to Bobby Smith. Goring is out for the Islanders. Smith faked the long shot. Pulled to the left wing. Plays a pass cross ice. McCarthy lets one go, and it was blocked by Potvin. Now the puck loose in the Islanders zone. Lorimer picked it up and played it around the right wing for Nystrom. And outside the line, Hartsburg at the blue line trapped it, shot it back in just as the penalties to Bourne and Barrett had expired.
Leon Stickles, the linesman, standing very close to the blue line. As a matter of fact, couldn't be any closer. He was standing on it. Hartsburg thought he might get away with one. Players will do that rather than try and take the puck from that position all the way back into center ice. They think they're going to get away with it, and usually they don't.
Thinking back to the finals of a year ago, Leon, I'm sure, is very, very aware of
on that particular
same blue line.
Yes, Jiggs. An offside at the blue line by the Islanders against the Flyers. He missed.
Sorry, Leon, we shouldn't have even mentioned it.
Well, Bobby, it's fun now. He laughs about it. We didn't do it intentionally.
Oh, no. Bobby Smith to Hartsburg.
Ed Snyder thinks so.
Hartsburg checked by Lorimer. The puck loose at center ice. Caller chasing it. Andy Caller around Brad Maxwell. Gillies open. Caller to Gillies, and the pass just out of his reach. Ciccarelli for the North Stars. Gave it to Brad Maxwell. Into center. Now to Bobby Smith. Over the line with McCarthy trailing. Return pass. Ciccarelli on right wing. Shoots Smith the save, and Lorimer is there. Bob Lorimer checked on the end boards. The North Stars with 3 men in deep, and McCarthy couldn't pull the trigger at the side of the net. Bossy ahead to Gillies. Mark Gillies Firing one into the Minnesota territory. Comes off the boards and picked up cleared quickly by Hartsburg to Bobby Smith. He shot it in wide of the Islander goal, and he shot it from his own side of the center ice stripe, forcing the icing call. A break in the action with the score. New York Islanders 3, the Minnesota North Stars 1. Gauthier with a streak on the line here. Hasn't picked up a point tonight. He has done so in 21 straight games, the playoffs, and 14 straight this year. The puck at center ice. Broughton shooting it into the Islanders' zone. Back for it is Langevin. He and McEwen together on defense. Bob Bourne. His pass off the stick of Palmer. McEwen and Palmer on the boards at the Islander line, and Bossy comes up with the puck. Gave it to Trottier. Trottier left side to Bourne. Bourne cutting it on goal. Is turned around, knocked off balance. The puck loose. Bourne poked it away from Palmer. Here's Bourne coming out in front. In front to Bossy, and it deflected wide. Bossy shoots it right out in front again. It hit the goaltender, Beaupre. Heads up move by Bossy. It may have hit the stick. It may have hit him somewhere else and bounced into the net.
You got to know that that's what he was trying to do, Jiggs, as he takes the puck from behind the net and rifles it out in front, hoping it may just hit the goaltender and go in. Here's Bob Bourne. Takes the puck. Number 14, Bourne, makes the play to Mike Bossy, cutting in. He's tripped up and the puck goes behind. Now look at Bossy shoot it at the goaltender. He thinks he's playing pool. He's going to bank it off the goaltender and into the net. He tried. There's no question. That's what he was trying to do. Don't see that happen very often.
Very seldom. Merrick on this face-off now. Benelli and Nystrom up front with Morrow and Potvin on defense. Young and Merrick are waved out. McAdam comes in to take the face-off for Minnesota. McAdam and Payne, along with Tim Young, their forward line. Following the draw, the puck went to the corner. McAdam bumped off the puck by Nystrom. Nystrom ran into Giles. Here's Merrick in the corner. Young checked him. It comes right out in front. Cleared by Roberts. To Payne. Payne from center. Smith, the glove saved. Dropped it off and played it around the board. Steve Payne for Minnesota. Centers one. Back to the point for Giles. Over to Roberts. Roberts shooting. That went wide of the net. And bounces off the boards on the far side for John Tonelli. Tonelli into center ice. Over that Minnesota line. Down to Nystrom. Nystrom shoots. Stick hand save by Beaupre as Nystrom went for the top right-hand corner. McAdam for Minnesota. Playing it rink wide, but out of the reach of Roberts. Bobby Nystrom has it. Nystrom shoots it into the Minnesota zone. Beaupre left it for Giles. 4 minutes gone by in the second period. 3-1 Islanders. Steve Payne at center ice. Up the right side to McAdam. Chasing it in the Islanders zone. Potvin back to tie him up. Raises the puck on the boards, and play has been called. There's a break in the action with the score. The New York Islanders 3, the Minnesota North Stars 1. See the time remaining in period number 2. Face off in the circle to the left of Billy Smith. Trottier got the puck to Lane. Cody Lane back to Trottier off his skates. Now he dumps it into the Minnesota zone. He was the second center out there and is replaced now as Gillies has come out with Goring and Blaine Sutter. North Stars just played it into center ice. Lane back to Sutter, but it was offside at the Minnesota line. Well, ran into one of your old teammates last night, Mr. Westfall.
I bet I know who it was, too. Yeah, I'm mad at him. Billy Harris is in town, or he was in town. I understand he left today. He was in town for a day or two.
Now with the Los Angeles Kings, has already spent his vacation in Honolulu.
He did go?
Yeah, he did.
I understand that some of the players, or one of them in particular, did not go.
One of them went to Las Vegas and got married. Charlie Simmer and Miss Terry Wells. Here's Gillies into the Minnesota zone. Couldn't get around to Hartsburg. Played rink wide to Bobby Smith. Now to Hartsburg. He can fire it. Lets it go. Smith the save. Dropped it off for Lane. And Lane just dumps it into center ice. Hartsburg back on the Minnesota defense. Over to Brad Maxwell. Now to Hartsburg. Ahead on the left side. This is McCarthy to Bobby Smith. Smith pulled it in around Lane. Got over the line. Gave it back to McCarthy. McCarthy shooting. That went wide of the goal. Ciccarelli from the right wing. A long shot deflected wide. Bobby Smith picks it up. Put it out in front. McCarthy couldn't take the pass. Goring sends Gillies out on left wing. Gillies a long shot. Beaupre makes that save. Hartsburg leads the rush for the North Stars. Now to Bobby Smith across the line. Slowed up by Lorimer's hit. And Billy Carroll rounds the goal for the Islanders. Billy Carroll to Lane. Into center. Bourne and Bossy got tangled up. Over the line is Palmer. He can fire the puck too. It came off the boards out in front, and Billy Smith covers up on it.
Minnesota skating much better. They're getting a little chance now. There's some open ice they're taking advantage of, getting some shots away. They're long shots. Smith is handling them easily. A moment ago, Butch Goring makes a fine move. Technically, the Islander forwards, two of them, the wingers, should be covering the point men of Minnesota when the puck's in the Islanders' end of the ice, except when one of the wingers is back in helping the defense. Then the centerman's job is to take the winger's place. Butch Goring moved out, covered right in front of Hartsburg, took the puck away from him and got the puck out. Good play, good thinking by the centerman, Butch Goring, again in this game, as he did so well in the last game the other night.
Now it's Brian Trottier feeding the pass to Bourne. He's across the line, racing into that Minnesota zone, trying to get around Greg Smith, put it out in front. Bossy couldn't get a stick on it. Langevin a drive, and it deflects off the stick into the crowd.
Dave Langevin, look at him. He knows that he could have got the puck away maybe just a little earlier. It was deflected up into the seats just at the top of the circle. A good opportunity for the Islanders. Here's Bourne. Watch the shift here. He takes a little stutter step, gets part way around the Minnesota defenseman, dumps it in front of the net. It goes right back out to Langevin.
Now play underway in the Minnesota zone. Bossy was knocked down. The puck loose. Greg Smith for the North Stars. This is Palmer. Palmer over that far side. Kristoff shot. Billy Smith made that save and left it for Langevin. To Mike Bossy. Bossy drops it for McEwen. Over the Minnesota line, dumped it between the defense, and it's grabbed and held on to by Beaupre, so we get a break in the action with the score. Islanders 3, North Stars 1. Look at Bobby Nystrom.
Intensity. There it is. All over Bob Nystrom's face.
Got his 5th playoff goal here tonight. It was the one that put the Islanders in front for the first time. 14:39, and it's Nystrom in control of the puck. Bobby Nystrom around Roberts. Back of that Minnesota goal. Tried to center. Merrick was open, but he couldn't get the puck to him. Now Roberts clears it out of the Minnesota zone. Denny Potvin with it at center. The Islander captain got a bump from McAdam as he played it into the North Star zone. Roberts and Nystrom go back to the net. Nystrom came up with the puck centered, but there was nobody there but Giles. Giles to McAdam on right wing. Potvin got back in front of him to break up the rush. Ron Tonelli to Bobby Nystrom. Ahead to Merrick. Off his stick at the Minnesota line and cleared back. Tonelli turning. Ron Tonelli plays it to the left wing. Hustles after it around Roberts in the Minnesota zone. Nystrom will pick it up. Bobby Nystrom takes a look. Tried to get it to Merrick, and it was broken up. Cleared by Anderson. Up the right side to McAdam as he races into the Islanders zone, but Morneau gets back ahead of him. Icing called against the North Stars.
Jiggs back in the first period. Mike Bossy scored his 9th power play goal from McEwen and Potvin at 4:23. That goal extended the Islanders' NHL playoff record of 26 power play goals. Of course, Bossy has also a playoff record with 9 power play goals of his own.
An amazing year in that area. This points up the fact again that specialty teams mean so much. The Islanders, who had the #1 power play unit in the regular season, have done it again here in the playoffs. This is Hartsburg for Minnesota. Shot one into the Islanders zone. McCarthy and Lane go after it. Gordy Lane lost it to Bobby Smith. Maxwell at the blue line, and it came outside the line. Offside being called.
Clark Gillies sliding out, forcing Hartsburg. The puck was bouncing. He could not handle it well, but he forced him back close to the blue line, and the puck bounced over his stick just outside the line. Leon Stickles' line again. Not to belabor that particular phrase.
Billy Carroll centering for Clark Gillies and Dwayne Sutter. This is Gordy Lane, number 24, to Lorimer. Lorimer across the Minnesota line. Dropped it for Dwayne Sutter. Sutter's shot almost hit Lorimer, but it went off the stick hand of Beaupre. Now Gillies around the boards to Sutter. Dwayne Sutter checked in the corner. Bobby Smith turning. Sutter right on top of him. Bobby Smith can't get around Billy Carroll. Gillies brings the puck back into center ice. Gave it to Lane. Lane to Gillies. Gillies shot it around the boards. Beaupre cuts that off for Hartsburg. Hartsburg not in front of his own goal. Ahead to Bobby Smith. Smith to the left side to McCarthy. Didn't get much on it. Now Smith lets a long shot go and right into the catching glove of Billy Smith. We have a break in the action here with the score. The Islanders 3, the North Stars 1. Taking a look at the New York Islander bench.
Yep. Jimmy Pickard to the right of Al Arbor, to the left as you look at the screen. That's the equipment manager. Niagara Falls, Ontario fella.
Pretty fair golfer, I hear.
Yes, he is.
In your league?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Trottier fed the puck to Bourne, who dumps one wide of the Minnesota goal. Beaupre covers up at the side of the net. Trottier had been in there, hadn't been able to control the puck, and Beaupre alertly decides we better get a face-off here.
Minnesota having a lot of trouble, Jiggs. They're not getting any shots at Billy Smith. Not good ones, not in close ones. The Islanders closing them down. The forwards are back-checking well. The defense handling the puck well in their own end. When Minnesota dumps the puck in, the Islanders are back quickly. Forwards are in position, and the defense make one move, and it's out.
Langevin, a long shot went wide. McEwen off the right point. Dumped one off in front. Bossy in the corner. Mark Barrett down, and Greg Smith plays it around to the blue line and got it away from McEwen and into center ice. Langevin not able to wait long enough for Caller to get back on side, thus offside call as Caller is out there with Trottier and Bossy just now. Haven't seen a whole lot of Butch Goring tonight.
Not in the second period so far. We haven't.
Butch, of course, with 40-some stitches on his bottom lip and chin. It was a skate that came up and cut him.
It was a freak accident. The Minnesota player's skate came up. He fell, and as he fell, his skate was coming up. Butch Goring was falling on top of him, and
Palmer has just scored for Minnesota, ripping a shot off the left wing side. Identical plays we saw against Calgary last Saturday night
when he put the puck right through the net. Rob Palmer, what a blast. I'm not sure whether it was deflected or not. We'll take a look here as Minnesota in their own end of the ice. That's number 23. Greg Smith gets it ahead. There's 14, Palmer, as he crosses the Islanders' blue line. Moving over, sticking out his stick is McEwen. The puck goes up quickly, and it's in the top left corner, right off the goal post. Rob Palmer, what a blast. His 8th playoff goal by young Rob Palmer. Minnesota gets them a closer spot to the Islanders. It's now 3-2.
Broughton and Greg Smith get the assist at 9:15 of the second period. Palmer the goal, and it's 3-2. Nystrom across the Minnesota line. Doesn't get around Roberts. Steve Payne. Up the right side, it went off Nystrom's stick and into the crowd.
Going to get another look, Jiggs, at the goal at Palmer. What a blast, and he can shoot him. You're right, he put the puck right through the net the other night against Calgary. As he winds up, he lets the shot go. It did not touch the stick of Mike McEwen. It just cleanly beat Billy Smith. A hard drive by Palmer.
Now the North Stars have cleared it to center ice. Denny Potvin for the Islanders to Nystrom. Sends Merrick over the line. Merrick is checked, and the puck ends up on the stick of Payne. Payne rink wide to McAdam. Now McAdam. Potvin had him lined up. McAdam in control of the puck again. Potvin right on top of him. McAdam got it to Young. Back to the blue line to Roberts. Roberts a drive and off McEwen, and it ends up poked loose by Billy Smith. On Tonelli. To Merrick. He couldn't get out of his own zone. Now Tonelli steals the puck and dumps it into center ice. Picked up there by Nystrom. Nystrom over to Potvin. Potvin up the left side for Tonelli. Ran into Giles. The puck loose. Here's Merrick with it. Wayne Merrick starts to move in. The play has been called. John Tonelli's going to get the gate. A roughing penalty being called. There's a break in the action with the score. The Islanders 3, the North Stars 2.
Tonelli gets a roughing penalty. In this play here, that's Kurt Giles. Tonelli runs into Giles, runs into him again, gives him a little extra as he goes by him, and that little extra costs him a 2-minute penalty. The Islanders will now have to kill another one off, or attempt to.
10:26, the time of the roughing penalty. Out there for the Islanders, Butch Goring and Billy Carroll. Artie Lane and Bob Lorimer on defense. Giles and Roberts on the Minnesota defense. Bobby Smith is out along with Kristoff and Ciccarelli. They played it to Kristoff. Kristoff back to Giles. Into center ice. It goes to Roberts on the left side across the Islander line. Roberts plays one around the boards, but Lane is there. Gordy Lane slaps it to the line. Maxwell holds it in. Back of the net. Bobby Smith now to Kristoff, around to Cicerelli.
No one in front of the net for Minnesota, Jiggs. All three of them behind the goal line.
The shot from the point was blocked. Bobby Smith picking it up. And again, nobody in front of the net. Smith couldn't find anybody to give it to. Bobby Smith lets it go, and it hit Lane. Now Cicerelli to Smith. Kristoff is in front of the net this time. Smith takes a look for him, lets the shot go, and it was wide. This is Roberts at the blue line, lost it on the boards, and Lorimer feeds it to Goring. Now to Carroll. Carroll over the line, coming right in. Billy Carroll went to play it to Goring, and that went behind his teammate. Roberts sends Bobby Smith into center ice. Over the Islander line, cutting to the left side, drop pass, Cicerelli around Goring. He shoots Smith, the stick save. Goring is there to clear it to length of the ice.
A close call. Billy Smith making a good save. Bobby Lorimer racing for the bench. They want to get a change.
Morrow has come out with Potvin, Trottier, and Kaller for the Islanders as Payne gets into the New York Islanders zone. Over to McAdam. McAdam around Kaller. Goes back to the net with it. Al McAdam's pass cut off and cleared out of there by Morrow. 12 seconds left in the penalty to John Tonelli. Beaupre leaving the puck for Hartsburg. Greg Hartsburg over in the far side to Brad Maxwell. Maxwell just dumps it into the Islanders zone, and that's going to be called for icing. The penalty against Tonelli has expired.
That's a big kill for the New York Islanders, Jiggs. It's a break in the action with the score. The New York Islanders 3, the Minnesota North Stars, 2.
There you see the amount of time remaining in period number 2 as Trottier moves in for the face-off. Kaller is on the left wing. Bossy is on the right side. Puck comes back to Bossy to the blue line for Morrow. Dumped it around the boards. Greg Smith checked there by Bossy. Bossy centers. Bourne couldn't get a stick on it. Bourne had come out along with Carroll now. Greg Smith to the Islander line. Ran into Billy Carroll. Comes in offside on the play.
Neil Broughton offside, Jiggs, down the right wing side. He was having a little duel with Mike Bossy. Bossy was back checking on him. He broke loose from Bossy, but got across the line. Look at Glenn Sonmore, the coach, jawing away. Don't know what he's saying.
The North Stars are going home right after the game tonight, chartering back to the Twin Cities. Now Billy Carroll gave the pass to Bourne across the Minnesota line. Bobby Bourne dumped it out in front. Here's Bossy with it. Goes to the corner. Back of the net to Carroll, and that's broken up by Barrett. And Barrett to Palmer. Fans yelling because Greg Smith had knocked Bossy down in the Minnesota zone. Here's Palmer with the puck at center. Bob Palmer poked it in across the line. Came right back to Palmer. Palmer coming in. Takes a drive way off the target. Barrett holds it in at the right point. Eddie Barrett dumps it back of the goal. Denny Potvin chasing it. Knocked it away from Palmer to Bossy. Bossy's pass intercepted. Anderson playing it around the boards, but Morrow is there. Danny Morrow turned to get away from Bobby Smith. Up the right side to Bossy at center ice. Over the Minnesota line. Mike Bossy. Right side to Bourne. Bob Bourne stick handles in. Shoots. Beaupre the save. The rebound. He got in front of another one. Bourne tapped it wide. Here's Bossy to Potvin. Danny Potvin into the corner. Bossy comes off the boards. Gave it to Carroll. Billy Carroll put it out in front, and that was blocked by Hartsburg. It comes out in front again and cleared by Palmer. Islanders applying some pressure. Langevin back to touch up. Minnesota called for icing with 5:49 left in the second period.
Good chance for Bob Bourne, but he could not get the puck over the sprawling goaltender. This is Bossy cutting in. Hartsburg, number 4, backing up. Bossy, what a play he makes here to Bourne. Bourne walks in, pulls it around. Number 4, Hartsburg again. Beaupre, what a save, another save, and look at this, another save as Bourne can't get the puck over. 4 in a row. Beaupre steals from Bob Bourne. Finally, the puck slid to the corner, and then it was iced by the Minnesota North Stars. Bob Bourne has to be shaking his head a little bit as he gets 4 chances to put it in, and he's robbed every time by the 20-year-old Don Beaupre.
Goring centering now for Gillies and Sutter. Bobby Smith moved in for Minnesota. The Islander defense is McEwen and Langevin, every man inside the Minnesota blue line for this draw. And Goring won the faceoff, got it to Gillies, turns in front, shoots, that went wide. Goring from back of the net. Now Dwayne Sutter trying to put it out in front. Goring moves in. It's Goring. Down to Sutter. Dwayne Sutter to the blue line off Cicerelli's stick. Langevin played it into the corner, and that deflected out to Roberts. To Cicerelli, to Bobby Smith, just out of his reach. McCarthy unable to catch up with it as McEwen cleared it to the Minnesota line. Roberts flips it high in the air, but not out. Here's Clark Gillies. Got it around the boards. Back for Minnesota's Roberts. Cody Roberts coming out on the left side. Gave it to Giles. Back to Roberts. Roberts pokes it in over the Islander line, forcing McEwen to go after it. Mike McEwen around Cicerelli. Plays it to center ice to Dwayne Sutter. Sutter over the line. Takes a shot that was blocked by the defenseman Roberts. Now Sutter back of the net. Roberts tied him up. Bobby Smith lost it to Merrick. Merrick trying to get it to Sutter back of the goal. The puck comes loose on the left wing boards. Here's Roberts for Minnesota. Playing it to the Islanders zone, but offside, a two-line pass. Cicerelli and Langevin collided.
Cicerelli takes a look up to see who hit him. The whistle blew just as Langevin hit him. Not many players are going to retaliate against Dave Langevin.
What a great guy, Glenn Sonborn. What a great job he has done with this Minnesota North Star team. His third year as their coach. He and Murray Oliver.
That's Murray the Muzz Oliver, one-time Detroit Red Wings, Boston Bruin, Toronto Maple Leaf. Was in Boston when I was there.
We can't overlook the third member of that Minnesota coaching staff, another former teammate of yours.
Parisi, who played here on the New York Islanders.
Ran into him on my scenic tour last night, too.
I understand you ran into just about everybody.
I didn't miss too many spots.
Didn't need the headlights when you went home.
Careful now.
Well, I mean, if you're out that late, what do you need the headlights for? The sun's in your eyes.
Here's Greg Smith off the boards. Nice room for the Islanders. In forechecking, it comes up the left side, knocked away from Payne. Cleared by Greg Smith. 2-on-1 Minnesota. Young with McAdam across the line. A drive that went wide as McAdam let it fly. Eddie Potvin was the only man back for the Islanders. Now Greg Smith at the blue line. He's shooting, and Greg Smith makes the glove save.
Minnesota getting chances. The Islanders' checking machine is not as efficient as it has been through the first game and in the first period. As the North Stars picked up the pace in the second period, they scored a goal. Palmer scored on a slap shot, his 8th goal from Smith and Breton at 9:15. The only goal so far of the second period. There's 4:01 remaining. Face off just to the left of Billy Smith. The fans here trying to get their Islanders going, giving them the "Let's Go Islander" chant.
Now Merrick on the draw against Young. It's fed back to Barrett at the line. His shot went off McAdam and cleared by Merrick to Nystrom. Nystrom taken into the boards on a hip check from Greg Smith, and Barrett takes a bump as he dumped the puck into the Islanders zone. Lorimer up this right side. Greg Smith blocked that. Got it high in the air, and Lane goes back for the Islanders. Minnesota touched it first. There's no icing. Now Lane is knocked down on top of the puck, and will get a face-off deep in the Islanders zone. 3:36 remaining in the second period. North Stars have the only goal of period 2. Palmer from Broughton and Greg Smith. Moved to within a goal of a tie. 3-2 Islanders.
Minnesota, Jiggs, are skating more like we expected Minnesota to skate through their playoffs with Boston, Buffalo, and Calgary. They skated well. One of their best weapons was the fact that they were a very mobile team and moved the puck extremely well.
They get the draw back to Hartsburg. His long shot. Smith the save. The rebound just went wide of the net. Trying to come out on the right side is McEwen. To Bossy, now to Trottier. Over to Bourne. Bourne across the Minnesota line around Brad Maxwell. Back of the net, put it out in front. Trottier was too well covered. Here's Bossy. Couldn't make it lie down, and Broughton has a break. Broughton across the Islander line. Coming in on left wing. McEwen steers him wide of the net. Mike McEwen in the corner. Unable to control the puck. Trottier moves in for the Islanders. Gave it to Bossy. Bossy feeds it to Bourne. Into center ice, 3 minutes left. Bourne, a long shot wide of the goal. Here's Trottier with Bossy. Bossy picked it up but couldn't get around Hartsburg. Now Bossy dumps it back in the Minnesota goal. Trottier is really being tied up in front of the net by both Brad Maxwell and Broughton, and no penalty call. Hartsburg gets into the Islander zone. Gave the puck to Palmer. Palmer checked. Out comes Clark Gillies. Gillies one-on-one with Brad Maxwell. Lets the shot go and hit the defenseman, and Kaller is there. Gave it back to Gillies. To Kaller. Kaller shooting. Broughton. The goaltender Beaupre able to make the save. Kaller again, forechecking well in that Minnesota zone. Gillies with it. Clark Gillies to Kaller. Couldn't get a shot away. Kaller without a stick. Kicked the puck to the corner. Goring gives it to Clark Gillies. Back to Goring. He shoots on. It just went wide on the glove side. He had a lot of net to shoot at. Came outside the line. Morrow dumped it in on a delayed offside. Brought out now by Hartsburg. Hartsburg backhanding it into the Islander zone. 2 minutes remaining in the second period. Billy Smith gave it to Popan. Long pass. Just did get there to Goring. 3-on-2 as they come to center. Goring across the line. Looks Goring. Stops. Tried to make the play. Got it to Kaller. Back to Goring. Goring dumps one around the boards. Here's Gillies chasing it. Ciccarelli for Minnesota. Beat him to it. Got the puck to Roberts. Now to McCarthy. McCarthy plays it into center ice, but Morrow was there. To Goring, but they rule it offside at the Minnesota line. 1:37 left to play, second period.
Islanders come back now. Jiggs, a little more intensity. The Minnesota North Stars picked things up, and that has shaken the Islanders a little bit. They were playing somewhat nonchalant through the early part of the second period on in almost to the late stages here. And I'm sure Al Arbor trying to remind them you do not want to have the momentum in Minnesota's favor coming into the third period. That would not be in the best interest of the New York Islanders. They're only 1 goal back, 3-2, 1 minute and 35 seconds remaining here in the second period.
The save. Lang slaps it around on the left side for John Tonelli. Tonelli
Last minute of play in the
out on the
period.
right side, but out of the reach of Nystrom. Roberts back for Minnesota. Less than a minute remaining in the second period. 3-2 Islanders. Kane fed it into center ice. Anderson across the Islander line. Hit Eric Anderson. Chased to the boards by Lane. Tonelli lost his balance back of the net. Warmer tying up Payne, and we'll get a face-off to the right of goaltender Billy Smith. Well, the crowd down to our right has spotted Jerry Cooney. Knocked out Norton in the first round Monday night at Madison Square Garden. Jerry's going to be one of the guest performers tonight in the shootout, or the shot on goal competition here in the second intermission. One of the banners that was here Tuesday night, back again tonight, says Rangers plus Norton, 2 Long Island KOs. Rather clever.
Very clever.
Gauthier won the face-off in his own zone. North Stars trying to tie up McEwen and the puck, and they do.
So important on face-offs such as that one, that when Brian Trottier, if he wins the draw, which he did there, the puck gets behind him. His job then is to take out the center iceman opposite him, which is, of course, number 7, Neil Broughton, and his teammates have to go for the puck, as Bossy does right there.
Now it's Bossy to Bourne. Over the line, trying to come in around Barrett. It's knocked down, goes to the corner, and the puck ended up underneath Beaupre. Bourne and Barrett continue their one-on-one competition here tonight. Started in the first period with that heavy check that forced Barrett to go to the bench after losing his wind.
Get another look at Bobby Bourne trying to use his speed outside Freddie Barrett. Barrett is not going to have any part of it. Down goes Bob Bourne. Tough way to go into the boards. Fred Barrett gives the little follow-through, gets Bourne in the side of the head into the boards. They have been battling back and forth, as you mentioned, one-on-one. What a shot, a check that Bobby Bourne hit, a good legal check in the first period.
Now the puck back to Potvin at the point. The shot off the stick of Beaupre. Here's Bossy with a drive. Beaupre, the glove save. He fires it off the glass. Bossy holds it in. Got it to Bourne. Put it out in front to Trottier. He couldn't make the play. Now Potvin at the line. His shot was blocked and a break for Broughton. Broughton across the line. 1 second. He comes in, but the green light is on. The green light beat the Minnesota North Stars. The period ended before Broughton put the puck by Billy Smith, but it was close.
Close call is right. The green light, no question, was on, but it was not on very long. The light did not get hot by any standards. As number 7, Neil Broughton blocked a shot by Dennis Potvin. Dennis trying to line up a shot right here. He lets it go and hit Broughton on the stick, and he breaks away with 16. Mike McEwen, you'll see him come into the picture, making a dive, trying to make a last-ditch effort to get the puck away. Broughton lets the shot go. The green light, we do not, there it is, up on the top. The green light is on, and there's no goal. Close call for the Islanders.
Islanders with 11 shots. The North Stars 11 shots. And at the end of 2 periods of play, our scores, the New York Islanders 3, the Minnesota North Stars 2.
Islanders North Stars Stanley Cup game is being brought to you as a courtesy of Cablevision of Boston. The score is now 3-2. The Islanders over the Minnesota North Stars at the end of 2 periods. It was 3-1 at the end of 1. North Stars got a tough break right there at the last split second of the second period, losing a goal to the green light, but they did manage, Kenny, to get within a goal of the Islanders now, and that's within striking range, so they've got to feel like they've got a shot at this one.
Well, they probably felt that they had to get back into the game. They had to pick the tempo up. They seem to be skating a little better. Maybe they're over their leg weariness and they're starting to put it together. Maybe the Islanders are taking a little bit too easy, because they certainly didn't seem to be carrying the momentum. Minnesota seemed to pick it up. The Islanders seem to be allowing Minnesota to be taking some shots from a little far out and allowing them the opportunity to penetrate, as opposed to standing up and taking them before the blue line.
Yeah, no question that was a better period for the North Stars than was the first 20 minutes.
Well, I think Minnesota's reaction was that they weren't really out of the game. They hadn't played their best hockey in this series as of yet. They knew they were capable of probably playing better hockey, and they knew that if the Islanders were going to go into a little bit of a lackadaisical kind of an attitude, which they seem to have picked up in that second period, that they were going to get a couple of chances to score and take advantage of the chances when they got them.
Ken, the two clubs have been doing different things with goaltending. The North Stars have been switching back and forth between Meloche and Beaupre, not alternating game by game, but they have been using 2 goaltenders, and the Islanders have gone through with their one guy. What are the advantages, what are the disadvantages in the playoffs of going with 2 goaltenders or going with 1?
Well, I think if you take Minnesota's case, early in the playoffs, they established that when they played Boston. They started the series with Meloche. Meloche wins the first game. They come back with Beaupre, and a lot of people really hadn't heard that much about Beaupre, but he had played a lot of games for Minnesota. He played quite well. I think he's only 19 years old. And he turned the game around in that second game against Boston. It was a 9-6 contest or something to that effect, but yeah, it certainly proved that Sawmore was justified in his alternating of his goaltenders. Generally speaking, in the playoffs, a coach does not like to alternate his goaltenders. If a goaltender is hot, he'll stick with that man and continue with him. The same thing happened during the Bruin era, where Jerry Cheevers, always noted to be a money type of a goaltender. If things were going well for Jerry during the playoffs, Sinden or Johnson would stick with Jerry Cheevers, or even Don Cherry later on would stick with Jerry Cheevers. If a goaltender had a couple of bad games, he would switch again. I think it's back in the Montreal series when Gilbert almost pulled them out early there in the series. They switched goaltenders. Jerry was having a tough night. They went to Gilbert. He finished the series off and almost took the Bruins to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Are there particular guys that you've played with or that you've seen that are just better in the playoffs? You just know they're going to be because there's something about them.
Well, the immediate fellow I can think about would be Bobby Orr, and the other one that comes to mind presently that I played with would be Jerry Cheevers. Always seemed to sense that it was money time. It was time to get tough and time to play your best hockey. And during the season, you always had the opportunity to get back at the team, but when comes time for playoffs, you don't have that opportunity to get back. It's do or die in a lot of situations.
We're noticing Butch Goring wearing a very unusual number, 91. and I mentioned that to you. I go, well, what's this 91? You said, well, he used to wear 19, and somebody already had 19, so he reversed it. You and Esposito did the same thing when you went to New York. Not reverse the numbers, but you changed the numbers around.
We changed it.
Yeah.
When we went to New York was more or less looking for some media exposure, some hyping.
Pizzazz.
Some pizzazz, so to speak. And Phil came up with the idea of wearing number 77. He went to New York. Rod Gilbert had 7. I came to New York. Steve Vickers had always worn number 8. So they're really, you just don't walk into a new club and say, I want number 8 or I want number 7. So Phil came up with the idea of number 7. Phil came up with the idea of, why don't I try 88? And then he also went to a guy by the name of John Davidson and said, why don't you wear 00? Copying something that I guess Bernie Perrant, back in the old World Hockey League days, had started with 00. So that's how it initially got started, and then it just took off with the World Hockey League and came back into the National Hockey League.
Do you get kind of, I don't want to say emotionally involved, that's certainly overstating the case, but do you get kind of fond of a particular number? If you do switch clubs, do you really kind of want to have the same number you had before?
I think it's a superstition. A lot of players who have had good fortune and good luck with a number would like to stick with it. A lot of hockey players are superstitious. They will put one skate on before the other or do various things. Phil was notorious for superstitions. He used to have a stall above his stall with all his little doodads and that hanging above his head, his good luck charms or whatever.
But not Ken Hodge.
No, not too much.
We are at the end of 2 periods of hockey. The game tonight from Nassau County Coliseum. The Islanders ran out to a 3-1 lead after they trailed early 1-0. They came back to score 3 times in that first period to lead 3-1 at the end of the first period. And then the North Stars scored the only goal of the second period of play. So we have ourselves a 3-2 hockey game. The Islanders leading it at the end of 2 periods and leading in the series 1-0 coming into this one. We'll come back and check some of the action highlights of that second period too. Ken Hodge and I right after this. The Islanders and the North Stars, and it's 3-2 Islanders at the end of 2 periods of play now, although the second period was a little bit better for the North Stars. Billy Smith had to be kind of active.
Well, you're going to see eventually what happens at the start of the game when you allow a defenseman or anybody to have the advantage of the blue line. And Hartsburg is allowed a couple of opportunities to walk in and take that long shot, and it is exactly what the Islanders don't want to have happen. Here you're going to see he makes a fine play, just steps over the blue, and Smith has to make a fine glove save. They were allowing Minnesota to make a lot of good shots. Here you're going to see the Palmer goal coming up. Neil Broughton makes a good play here to Palmer, and he just walks in and he really blasts that puck, and he gets it over the glove of Smith. He quite possibly picked up a little more velocity by going off the stick of Mike McEwen.
He did bang it. It's hard to tell for sure whether it hit the stick or not, but it did seem to go up.
Seemed to go up very quickly.
Get a little bit better look in slow-mo, but he had a lot of velocity on the shot.
Here he just walks right over, and he's able just to set it up and tee it up at will, and McEwen comes over here, and quite possibly Smith, either one or two, they did hit the stick or he lost it quite possibly off the stick, but it was a fine shot. Matter of fact, Eddie Westfall was commenting the other night, he put one through the net in Minnesota.
Yeah, that made it 3-2, which is the score now.
Cicerelli here, Cicerelli has a fine play there set up by Bobby Smith where he was allowed to walk in again, and here you're going to see Bobby Bourne have 4 good shots at scoring a goal, and Beaupre makes 3 fine saves, and finally he just shot it wide of the net.
And then right at the end of the period, this is the one they lost to the green light.
The puck was in the net, but unfortunately time had run out. A good play there. He blocked, Neil Broughton had blocked Dennis Potvin, shot at the point and walked right in all alone on Billy Smith.
Well, the Islanders lead at 3-2, but the North Stars have gotten back, I guess, where they'd like to be, and that is just in the game within one of tying it at this point.
Well, probably the biggest thing right now is Minnesota has to be guard against is going out there and getting the goal right away. They've got a period to work with. They just can't allow the Islanders to come out and take charge of the game. They've got to continue to take charge. That's got to be a big inspiration, that last minute effort, that last second effort for a possible tying goal.
We'll be back and check the summary of the first 2 periods of Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Championships from Nassau County Coliseum in just a minute. All right, the score 3-2 at the end of 2 periods of play. The summary of the first period, Dino Cicerelli scored the first goal of the game. That was for Minnesota. And Mike Bossy scored for the Islanders on a power play. Nystrom and Potvin followed to make it 3-1 at the end of the first period. Lone goal in the second period, Brad Palmer for Minnesota. That makes it 3-2, and that's where she stands at the end of 2 periods. Let's get back for third period action now to Jiggs, McDonald, and Eddie Westfall.
We take a look at the summary of the second period. You see the shots by Minnesota, same as the Islanders. So over 2, the Islanders with 22 shots, Minnesota with 20. And the North Stars had the only goal. The Islanders have a summer hockey school scheduled for July 20th to September 5th at Cadillac Arena. There are still openings. It'll be held in 2-week sessions. Age groups are 7 to 10, 11 to 13, and then 14 to 17-year-olds. The younger group, 7 to 10-year-olds, will pay $100 for the 2-week session. The registration for the older groups is $150. For more information and registration forms, contact the Cadillac Arena. The area code is 516-935-3501. That's the practice facility of the New York Islanders, the Cadillac Arena, at area code 516-935-3501. The dates again, 2-week sessions running from July 20th to September 5th for the New York Islanders Summer Hockey School.
A big period coming up for both teams, Jiggs. For the Islanders, it's a matter of holding on to a lead and trying to make it bigger. For the Minnesota North Stars, you go back to the cliche. They have to win one here in the Nassau Coliseum if they're going to be successful. They would like to do it tonight. They do not want to wait much longer. They're going to have to take the play as they started to do in the second period. They're going to have to take the play to the New York Islanders and get some consistency in their offensive threat around Billy Smith's neck. The Islanders, on the other hand, have checked well. They've played excellent positional hockey and have not allowed Minnesota the luxury of point-blank shots at their goaltender, Billy Smith. How they go about doing that, I don't know how. If the Islanders continue to check well, they're not going to get the opportunities, but they've got to outwork the Islanders if they're going to be successful. They started to look better in the second. Throughout most of the second period, they kept coming at the Islanders, but again, coming out of their own end is one of the fortes of the New York Islanders. They do it better than any other team.
And I don't for 1 minute subscribe to all the things that they were saying about we're just happy to be here. They're here to win.
No question.
John Tonelli, Wayne Merrick, Bob Nystrom for the Islanders. Tonelli playing it in around Giles. Into the corner, ran into his teammate Nystrom. Tonelli now plays it back of the goal, and Roberts gives chase. Tony Roberts dumping it into center ice. Potvin on the left side to Tonelli. Played it to the Minnesota line. It's cleared quickly for Tim Young. Here's Young over the Islander line. Is shot right on. Smith the save. Loose puck and the rebound, and they score. Minnesota has tied it up. And Smith is hurt. Billy Smith rolling over in pain. Here comes trainer Ron Waske. Minnesota has tied it 30 seconds into this third period.
Smith is in pain. He fell on his arm. I don't know what the problem is. He's clutching his left arm, it seems, Jiggs, as he thrashes around in obvious pain. Here's the play as Tim Young, who has not seen that much action, crosses the Islander blue line. He lets the shot go. Ken Morrow moves across to make the check. He knows that the left winger is covered by Bob Nystrom. Billy Smith makes the save. He just dropped on his wrist, his left wrist. And the shot.
Or did he get the skate? Maybe the skate hit his arm.
It's whatever on the left side. Anyway, it seems to be his left arm.
His 14th of the playoffs for number 26, Steve Payne.
Steve Payne was the player. He busted across the blue line. He shook off the check of Bob Nystrom, and that's the thing you can't do. Nystrom let him go, and he went in. The rebound off Tim Young's shot lay right out in front of Billy Smith. Smith was off balance. He could not get to the puck. And Payne cruised in, knocked the puck into the open net, and ran into Billy Smith, who is still lying on the ice. That's Dr. Jeff Minkoff, the team's orthopedic doctor. He's a surgeon as well, and he's checking him over. Billy seems to have quieted down a little bit now. He's just laying still as they talk to him, trying to ascertain what the problem is. It looked like his left arm at one point. It is a left arm as he hangs it down. They could take him out of the net, Jiggs, for a while and let Rolly Melanson take over and then put him back in if they so elect to.
Yeah, unlike baseball, where when you remove a pitcher, that's it. Or remove a player from a game. In hockey, the case of the goaltender, he can be put back in there, unless thrown out of the game, of course.
A new concern for Al Arbor, the Minnesota North Stars, 30 seconds into the third period, have tied the score. I would have to think that the way Billy Smith is reacting, he is not going to continue. That's just a guess. But he is in obvious pain as he rocks back and forth, the doctor trying to find out exactly what it is. Rolly Melanson skates back toward the bench. We'll keep an eye on him and see if he gets his gloves and stick ready.
He's going to do some stretching exercises. Yeah. The indication would be that he's going to have to go to work. Dr. Minkoff is leaving the ice now.
It's going to be tough, Jiggs, to get Billy out of there. He is not a guy that bows out quickly.
Watson coming back toward the goal. Billy Smith still with some pain. Now the two goaltenders confer. Trainer Ron Waske still there. But Billy's going to stay in the game.
Yeah, I told you, you're not going to get him out of there very easily. There is a bit of a concern now because it's at this point, it's his decision. It's at this point that Al Arbor's concern will mount. He's got to keep a close eye on the catching hand of Billy Smith, see how his reaction is, because you don't want Billy, his pride, everything, his eagerness to finish the job that he started runs high, and you have to be careful here because as an injured player in the net, it may be harmful to the team.
At Minnesota goal again, Payne from Young and Roberts at the 32nd mark, giving Steve Payne 14 playoff goals. Islanders went into the Minnesota zone offside from the ensuing faceoff. Al Arbor has Butch Goring between Clark Gillies and Andy Kaller. Kaller on the right side, Gillies on the left. Bobby Smith on the faceoff. Minnesota got the draw. This is Brad Maxwell. Hartsburg now to Bobby Smith. Smith, shot put in. Smith in the Islander goal. Comes back of the net. Played it around to the left wing for Clark Gillies. Up the boards to Goring. Butch Goring at center ice. Cuts to the right. Over that Minnesota line. Goring takes a look. Tried to give it to Gillies. That was broken up, and the North Stars failed to capitalize on a chance to come out of their 3-on-2. Bobby Smith rounding the goal. Plays it to the open wing. Here's Kaller in forechecking along with Goring. Kaller let the shot go, blocked by Beaupre. Now Lorimer moves in, tipped it back to the Minnesota goal. North Stars having trouble coming out. Goring out in front. Kaller's shot was blocked. Kaller the rebound, and Beaupre got in front of that. Now Hartsburg around to the right side to Ciccarelli, who slaps it the length of the ice. North Stars will be called, but they were in trouble in their own zone.
What a save by young Don Beaupre off Andy Kaller. Kaller left all alone just to the left of Beaupre. The pass came out from Goring. He slapped it immediately. Beaupre got his left leg out just in time to make the save. As we take a look at it, right here, that's Bobby Lorimer checking Hartsburg. The puck comes out. Kaller had taken one shot. That's his second shot there, the backhand, as number 5 for Minnesota. Brad Maxwell tries to curtain Andy Kaller.
Trache, Bossy, and Bourne up front for the Islanders. Here's Palmer, the rookie line out there for Minnesota. Broughton, Kristoff, and Palmer. Puck played around the boards. Bossy for the New York Islanders into center. Gave it to Trache, who's over the line. Trache around Barrett. Ryan Trache at the side of the net. Tried to put it out in front. That was broken up. Bossy had been knocked down. Kicked the puck to Langevin at the blue line. Lets it go, and it was just wide of the net. Now McEwen from the right side. A drive. That sails wide as Bossy is on the deck again. They're belting him every chance they get. Trache with a shot. Bossy in front. Backhander blocked by Beaupre. Palmer clears it but not out. Mike McEwen checked at the line, and the puck comes to Trache at center to Langevin. Langevin across the Minnesota blue line. Fired it off Barrett's leg. It's loose at the side of the goal, taken by Greg Smith of Minnesota. Now to Kristoff. Kristoff at center ice across the Islander line. Right into Langevin. They go to the boards, and Kristoff ends up on the ice. Hard check from Langevin. We'll get a face-off. The break in the action with the score tied. The Islanders 3, the North Stars 3.
Tremendous pressure by the New York Islanders. Trache, Bossy, all swarming around the net out there. A couple of chances. Don Beaupre is playing some game for Minnesota.
Eric centering for Tonelli and Nystrom. Here's Potvin. Put it in the skates of Young, and now Tim Young fires it around the boards in the Islanders zone. Billy Smith played it over the glass into the crowd. Tried to bank one off the glass. Going to face off to the left. Minnesota with Young centering for McAdam and Payne.
His arm, Billy Smith's left arm, seemed to be not too bad there, Jiggs. As he shot the puck, I was watching it. He uses his left arm on the lower part of the stick to push, and he seemed to get a lot on that puck as he lifted it up over the high glass on the end of the rink.
Waiting for Leon Stickle to drop the puck. Now he waves Young and Merrick out of there, so McAdam comes in for Minnesota, and Brian Trache will take the draw now for the Islanders. Adam cleared it to the corner. Potvin got it to the line. Giles to Young. Young centers, broken up by Morrow, and the puck comes outside the line. Kurt Giles lost it. Recovered just in time as Merrick was right on top of him. McAdam slaps one around the boards. Tonelli out for the Islanders now. John Tonelli up the middle, but out of the reach of Merrick. Here's Roberts for Minnesota to Giles. Giles shot it in off the stick of Morrow. Kenny Morrow to Bob Nystrom. Nystrom to Merrick. Merrick just knocked it away from Ciccarelli. Maxwell with it for the North Stars. Brad Maxwell dumps one in wide. Going back is Denny Potvin. Potvin trying to get it to Gillies, who was stolen by Ciccarelli. Then Potvin upends him, and Dennis is going to get the gate.
He might get more than the gate if he gets a hold of the referee. He's got a lot to say. As Lewis waves Dennis Potvin a tripping penalty to the penalty box. A break in the action with the score tied. The Islanders 3, the North Stars 3.
Islanders penalty.
Potvin gets a tripping penalty as he upends Dino Ciccarelli right there. He puts the stick between his legs and just pitchforks him. On top of his head, off goes Dennis Potvin, a tripping penalty. Score tied 3-3. Not a good penalty for Dennis Potvin to take at this point in the hockey game.
Sixth power play chance tonight for Minnesota. They're 1 of 5. And scored 20 power play goals, including Ciccarelli's first period counter here tonight. It'll be Goring, Carroll, Lane, and Lorimer for the Islanders. Bobby Smith with Ciccarelli and Payne for Minnesota. Roberts and Giles at the point. It's Kristoff, not Payne. Kristoff playing on the left side. The puck loose. Billy Carroll tips it to the blue line, but not out. Roberts tried to play it to Ciccarelli, but Lane broke that up. Now here's Giles for Minnesota. Giles up the left side. Steve Kristoff got it to Bobby Smith to Ciccarelli. Couldn't take the pass. Goring and Ciccarelli go to the corner. You know, Ciccarelli comes off the boards, but checked from behind by Lane. Gordy Lane has it in his skates. Still moving it. Now they like to blow the whistle, and we'll get a face-off.
Butch Goring nods to Gord Lane. Right play. Both their backs were to the play. They did not have an opportunity to turn and shoot it down the ice that deep into the end. It's not easy to do, and Gordy Lane elects to freeze the puck.
Taking a look at both coaches. Tim Young has come out with McAdam and Payne for Minnesota. Maxwell and Hartsburg their defense as Trache is on this draw. North Stars got control of the puck. McAdam trying to come in around Lane. It was knocked away from him. Goring got it back to Lorimer. Bob Lorimer uses the board, slapped it to the line. Brad Maxwell held it in. Now Lorimer ties up McAdam. Trache is upended from behind. No penalty. Young out in front, and Payne just tipped it wide. Payne bumped in the boards by Lorimer. Payne gets loose. Gave it to McAdam, round behind the net. McAdam put it out in front. Billy Smith covers up. The puck was loose. Smith had not frozen it, and now the Islanders really converge on referee Brian Lewis.
Almost unfairly, though, they converge on him because Billy Smith had left the puck open, but he was down on his knees in front of the view of referee Lewis. Lewis could not see the puck, and when he did not see it, he assumed Billy Smith had held it, so he blew the whistle. That's the only play the referee had. That's Lorimer in checking McAdam along the boards. There's the trip that the fans were yelling about as Trottier went down. Tim Young had tripped him up. No call on that particular play. The puck slid over to Billy Smith. He stopped it. He did not put his hand on it, but referee Lewis was on the other side, could not see the puck.
54 seconds left in the penalty to Denny Potvin. The puck goes over the glass into the crowd. Face-off will be to the right of the Islander goal. Trottier, Bourne, Langevin, and Morrill killing it off. Glenn Sonmore has McAdam, Young, and Payne as his forward line. Hartsburg and Brad Maxwell on defense.
Sonmore encouraging his players. He's telling the lines there just who's up. He's informing each player who he wants ready in case the line wants to change that's on the ice at the time. He has everybody set to go out and replace each one of the players that are on the ice at this time.
North Stars got the draw. Maxwell to Hartsburg to Payne. Turn, got it back to Hartsburg. His shot blocked by Trottier. Dropped in front of that one and hit him on the chest, and Denny Morrill has forced Minnesota to go back. Brad Maxwell behind the net. Half a minute remaining in the penalty against Potvin. North Stars move out. This is McAdam on right wing across the line. Can't get around Langevin. Payne picks it up. Played it to Hartsburg. It got away from him, and Kaller for the Islanders into center ice. And there's Kaller across the line. Trying to get through the defense. Offended. And again, the fans feel they have reason to yell.
He actually stepped on the stick of Hartsburg. That's how he fell.
Here's Young into the Islanders zone. It was knocked off his stick. Langevin with it for the Islanders. Clears it the length of the ice. Potvin is back on. Islanders weathered the score. 3-3 tie as Minnesota North Stars come to center ice. Ken-Eric Anderson hammered on a hit by Gordy Lane. Morrow back in his own zone. Gave it to Lane. Lane to Goring. Comes off the boards. Held in by Anderson. Morrow chasing it around to Lane. Toward Lane. Up the left wing out of the reach of Gillies. At center ice, it's Barrett for Minnesota. To Greg Smith. He dumped it in. It hit Lane. Gordy Lane comes back quickly. Gave it to Gillies. Mark Gillies clears one into center ice. Knocked down by Barrett. Fred Barrett is checked. Gillies in across the Minnesota line. Gillies turned around by Broughton. There'll be a penalty against Neil Broughton. Islanders are going to the power play.
A hooking penalty is the call, Jiggs. Break in the action with the score of the New York Islanders 3, the Minnesota North Stars 3. The penalty right here as Gillies tries to beat him outside. Broughton reaches out, spins him around, he hooks him. Gillies goes down. Islanders are on a power play. Minnesota has just cleared it down the length of the ice.
Broughton for hooking at 6:22 is the Minnesota penalty. McEwen is out on the Islander power play with Potvin. Bossy, Trottier, and Bourne up front. Trottier brings it into center. 3 Minnesota North Stars back. He gave it to Bossy. Couldn't get around McAdam. Now Trottier off the right wing. The Bossy back of the net. Mike Bossy held it, tried to get it to Trottier. He'd been knocked down in front by Barrett. Potvin with it. Denny Potvin upended from behind. The puck loose. Potvin comes out of the corner with it. Denny Potvin to Bourne. Bourne at the blue line. In front to Bossy. The play is called. Trottier and Barrett once again. Got a tangle in front. They're both going to go off.
Right, Jiggs. Barrett and Trottier are both going to get the gate. Barrett trying to hold Trottier from getting in front. Trottier is after Beaupre now. Maybe if we get a replay of what's going on. Trottier, very seldom does he get that mad. He is upset and went after Beaupre. Goes to the box. A break in the action with the score still tied. Islanders 3, North Stars 3. Kicking penalties. Brian Trottier. Here's what's happened. Watch Trottier as he comes in from the side. Look at this. Beaupre hits him. Barrett goes after him. Trottier and Barrett go down, but it was Beaupre who gives Brian Trache, a butt end as Trache come out from the side of the net.
Now play gets underway. Goring has taken Trache's spot at center ice with Gillies and Bossy. Bossy rink wide. McEwen moves in, shoots. Beaupre the save.
Shot was a little high as Mike McEwen moves in quickly. He's a left-hand shot. He looked a little like he was having trouble getting his footing. As he let the shot go, he was falling and the shot went high. Beaupre talking to referee Lewis, explaining that Trache ran into him, probably trying to convince the referee he had nothing to do with the fracas, that Barrett and Trache went off the ice for.
Minnesota got the draw, and Roberts fired at the length of the ice. 1:05 left in the penalty. The first one against Broughton. Here's Denny Potvin giving it to McEwen. Now to Clark Gillies. Gillies on his off wing, shot it around the boards. Beaupre out of the net, got it off. Goring into forecheck along with Bossy. Mike Bossy off the boards to Potvin at the blue line. Denny Potvin into Goring, back to Potvin. Dennis lets one fly, it hit Anderson. Here's Goring with it, rink wide to McEwen. Mike McEwen back to Denny Potvin. Potvin to Goring. Butch Goring back to the line. Potvin shoots. Beaupre just got a piece of it. Here's Goring in the corner. Back to the point again. Potvin to Goring. Goring starts to move in. He shoots. Beaupre the save. Goring in front to Potvin. A drive. He scores!
All right. Dennis Potvin Wilson. He's hit 2 or 3 players. You'll remember at the end of the second period, he hit number 7, Broughton, and he had a breakaway, and the goal light could not go on. This time he makes it count as Potvin gives it to Goring. Goring fakes. Well, he lets that shot go, and he gets the puck right back, and he lets it over to Dennis Potvin, and Potvin's high shot beats Beaupre as Clark Gillies hammers it out with Hartsburg. Potvin scores his second goal of the game. That's his 8th goal of the playoffs. A power play goal by Dennis Potvin. His 6th power play goal of the year, or of the playoffs, excuse me. We look at it again. Watch Clark Gillies in front of the net. That's Roberts, I'm sorry, not Hartsburg, number 10. Roberts, as Goring's shot is blocked. Look at Gillies wrestling with Roberts, wanting to get away from him. Potvin puts the puck in on the same play, so the Islanders have taken a 4-3 lead.
Denny Potvin from Goring at the 8-minute mark. Here's Brad Maxwell over the Islander line to McCarthy, and he was checked from behind by Carroll. Lorimer fed it ahead, just out of the reach of Kaller. Back at center ice, Hartsburg for Minnesota to Brad Maxwell. Stolen by Gillies. Mark Gillies to Kaller, races in over the Minnesota line. Kaller lost the puck. Gillies' a shot, that went wide. Comes all the way to center ice, but Lane is back. Cody Lane off the left boards, long pass to Kaller. He couldn't control it. Hartsburg for Minnesota comes to center ice. Hartsburg lost the puck. Bob Lorimer got it out on the right wing. It got away from everybody, and the Islanders are going to be called for icing. There's a break in the action with the score now. The New York Islanders 4, the Minnesota North Stars 3.
The New York Islanders, their 29th power play goal. You cannot take penalties against a power play that's as efficient as the Islanders has been all season, and in particular in the playoffs. Wayne Merrick gets waved out. In comes Bob Bourne.
The draw comes outside the Islander line. That's Giles chasing it. Kurt Giles to Roberts. Roberts played it rink wide. It got away from Lane. Gordy Lane upended his man and may have gotten away with one as McAdam tumbled to the ice.
I have to think he did get away with one, Jiggs, as McAdam gets turned around by Gord Lane, and down he goes. Something similar, that the penalty to Broughton that gave the Islanders the power play opportunity, which they scored on when Potvin got his 8th goal of the playoffs.
Kane went right over to referee Lewis, was nose to nose, pointing out the fact that he had missed one.
His eyes were not in focus, and told him a few other things. Every referee has a breaking point, and the players generally know exactly what the breaking point is with each individual referee as to what point the referee will give them a penalty.
Kurt Giles just whistled one wide of the Islander goal, and Roberts at center handed it right to Merrick. Wayne Merrick. The Nystrom Nystrom turned, shot the puck into the Minnesota zone. Stanley into forecheck. Roberts plays it around behind the net to Giles. Ahead for Broughton. Tim Young, at least, shooting it into the Islanders zone. That's Potvin back off the boards for John Tonelli. Picked up by Merrick. Has Nystrom with him. Merrick to the Minnesota line. Dropped it for Nystrom. He was bumped. Tonelli with it now. Goes back to the net. John Tonelli centers, but Merrick couldn't get a stick on it. Out comes Tim Young. Young at center. Payne trailing. Young across the line. Dropped it to Payne. Payne moves it around Potvin. A backhand shot. Smith got it up high in the chest and made the save.
Billy does not look like he has too many after effects from his arm injury.
He appears to be okay. You were talking about a referee a moment ago, and I saw one tonight who's been working on a scholarship for you to attend his referee school this summer. Referee Bruce Hood is the backup official tonight.
Oh, wonderful.
But the scholarship hasn't materialized, so now we're working on student A.
I see. Well, listen, I wouldn't mind going to a referee school.
Especially with him. Bob Bourne tied up on the boards. Langevin came in to put the hit on Kristoff, and Bourne fed it around to McEwen. Mike McEwen back to Bourne. Bourne shot went off the skate. Here's Langevin shooting it into the Minnesota zone, but it's being called for an offside. We are down to 9 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in regulation time here at the Coliseum.
Bruce Hood's lectures at the school would be probably the shortest lectures that anyone could have. He's a man of few words. Now his breaking point is fairly high. You can talk to Bruce. Your approach has to be right, as with most referees. I've had some of them that would say to you, if you say one word, you're gone. One word, you're gone.
Here's McEwen into the Minnesota zone. A rolling puck. He moved in and shot it wide. Bourne puts it out in front. It's picked up by Broughton. Broughton in Minnesota. Greg Smith, and Trache really leaned into him. Here's Bossy coming out of the corner. Belted from behind by Greg Smith, and Bossy takes a look for Mr. Lewis. Now Greg Smith around behind the net. Get it in his own zone to Broughton. Up the right side to Kristoff. Long shot blocked by Langevin. Bob Bourne comes out on left wing. Shot it into the Minnesota zone, and they'll send Brad Maxwell back for it. Islanders 4, Minnesota North Stars 3. 9 minutes left in regulation time. Brad Maxwell, long shot. Billy Smith the save. He fired it right into the chest of Smith. Here's Kaller. Working it off the boards at the center ice. It's Goring. Gillies trailing. Goring over the line. The pass to Gillies. Gillies couldn't hold the puck. Picks it up again. Plays it around to the corner. Kaller to Goring. Back of the net. Out to Kaller. He shot it at the side, and it hit McCarthy. And then Beaupre covered up, and we'll get a face-off.
Good hustle. The Islanders coming on strong in the last half of the third period. Good play again. Butch Goring gets it to Andy Kaller. He came out from the side of the net, tried to put it up in the top of the net. Beaupre made the stop. McCarthy fell on the rebound. The Islanders, great finesse. Clark Gillies skating well tonight, too. He commands a lot of respect. Brian Trache threw a body check a minute ago. Was it Greg Smith he hit?
Yeah.
What a blow. Lifted him right off his feet. Knocked him down, of course. Tremendous checks that Trache can throw.
Now the North Stars have cleared the puck out of their own zone. Running back for it is Lane. You get two men in quickly to check. Now the third man, Bobby Smith. They put it out in the middle, and it's cleared by Kaller. Hartsburg at center ice. Shot it to the Islander line where it hit Bobby Smith. Kaller sends Goring over the Minnesota line. Goring fed it through to the open wing. Here's Gillies in deep shoot. Beaupre the save. He covers up and holds on. There's a break in the action with the score. The New York Islanders 4, the Minnesota North Stars 3. 8:09 as you see, left in regulation time. Wayne Merrick facing off for the Islanders. Tonelli and Nystrom on the wings. The puck came back to Potvin. Dennis over to Morrow. Eddie Morrow shot deflected to score. Wayne Merrick deflecting Morrow's shot. It's 5-3.
Wayne Merrick, he does it again. Important that you position yourself well. Merrick wins the faceoff. The last time he did that, Potvin put the shot in, but this time Potvin across to Wayne Merrick. Yes, it was. He tipped it right in front of Kurt Giles as Ken Morrow lets the shot go.
Third of the playoffs for number 6, Ken Morrow.
Alex giving it to Ken Morrow right now. It looked like Wayne Merrick had changed the direction of the puck. Dennis Potvin gets an assist. That's his 100th playoff point for Dennis Potvin. They're giving it right now to Ken Morrow. They may change it. They may not.
Well, there was a Minnesota player right with him.
Kurt Giles. It might have hit him. That's right.
Icing against the Minnesota North Stars. The face-off moves back into their zone. 7:52 left in regulation time, but the Islanders with a little breathing room now. Up 5-3. It was Kenny Morrow that scored that big goal in overtime series against the Edmonton Oilers. Playoff goal last year in overtime against Los Angeles. And here tonight, 11:57. It was Morrow's shot. It appeared to be deflected. But Morrow credit for the goal at the moment. Stanley forechecking in that Minnesota zone. Roberts off the boards. Stanley stole the puck. John Tonelli to Merrick. His stick was lifted. Here's Potvin. Dennis to Wayne Merrick. Merrick trying to put it out in front. Went to the corner instead for Tonelli. Picked up by Nystrom. Nystrom turns, shoots. That was blocked at the defense. Nystrom with his own rebound. In around the boards to Tonelli, who couldn't control it. Kane taken off the puck by Merrick's check. Over comes Tonelli as well, and we get a quick whistle. Minnesota converging on John Tonelli. A little shoving going on. Now Nystrom moves in, as does Dennis Potvin. Tonelli is skated out of there and headed for the players' bench.
Players get a well-deserved round of applause from their fans here in the Coliseum. Good hustle again as the Islanders put the pressure on and get a goal from it. Ken Morrow scoring the goal. It did change direction. Happy face of the captain, Dennis Potvin. Ken Morrow very seldom changes expression. Good or bad time. 5-3 now, the Islanders over the North Stars.
Here's Trottier out with Bossy and Bourne. Trottier in front to Bossy. Backhander blocked by Beaupre. It was right on the goal line. He leans back into the net. The puck beneath him.
Bobby Bourne lifts his head, looks up at the sky and says, why not? What do I have to do to get the puck by Don Beaupre? As the Islanders again, Trottier makes the play across the goal mouth. Look at Bossy. He sweeps a backhand. Not often you'll see Bossy in that position and not put in, but Bourne has a good chance before Beaupre can get to it. But he does not get it in. Number 2, Giles is pushing at Bourne. Beaupre grabs the puck. Freddie Barrett has a few words to say to, first it was Bob Bourne, and now it's Mike Bossy.
There have been a lot of heated words exchanged down there in the last couple of seconds in front of that Minnesota goal.
Brian Trottier, for one, would love to get a goal on Beaupre. It was Beaupre that gave him a butt-in earlier in the third period that caused Trottier and Barrett to go off, each with high sticks.
Now the officials get them into position for this face-off. Trottier on and away from Broughton to Langevin. Over on the right side, it's McEwen moving in. He shoots. Beaupre way out of the net to make the save. Trottier dragged his man down, and Bryan is going to get the gate again. Now he comes back. Bossy and Trottier nose to nose with Beaupre.
He's a feisty guy. I guess Beaupre has taken up what Billy Smith left him. That was the nonsense around the net. He gave Trottier, as we mentioned, the butt in. Mike Bossy has had a few words to say to Beaupre, then Brian Trottier, but Trottier is going to get a tripping penalty, I believe, as the referee comes to the tripping penalty right as referee Lewis signals. Trottier is going into the box.
Brian Trottier, 2 minutes for tripping. Time of the penalty, 12:58.
Minnesota with yet another power play chance.
12:58.
This will be their 7th opportunity with the man advantage. The Islanders are 2 for 2 on the power play tonight. Minnesota is 1 of 6. Now Trottier for tripping at 12:58.
Quite a span in points, Jiggs. Morrow, when he scored, that's his 10th point in playoff hockey. Merrick on the assist that's his 30th point. And as we mentioned, Dennis Potvin, his 100th point.
Now we watch the Minnesota power play as Hartsburg fed it to Young up the left side. Payne and in around Morrow. Here's Young with it. He is upended by Goring. McAdam back of the goal. Now McAdam looked for Payne, who was out in front pushing with Potvin. The puck comes out of drive. Smith the save off McAdam. Morrow to Goring. Couldn't get a stick on it. Hartsburg held it in. Got it to Tim Young. Young comes off the boards. Hartsburg at the line. His shot blocked in front. A loose puck. Potvin falls. Has it beneath him. And Dennis is going to be penalized.
Yeah, he has to give him a penalty. Referee Lewis has to assess Dennis Potvin a penalty because Dennis reached out with his hand and put it on the puck. And that constitutes a penalty. It was too obvious for him to turn his head to it. So the Islanders now will be 2 men short as Potvin closes his hand on the puck. Dennis should get to the box immediately because
he is still on the ice yelling at referee Lewis.
Here we go. We're going to watch it. Dennis Potvin wrestles with 26, Steve Payne. Billy Smith is looking for the puck. Potvin and Payne are pushing and shoving. As the puck comes out in front, that's a shot there by McAdam, saved by Smith. Morrow cleared it away, but then the puck comes back in. A shot from the point. Dennis again there. This time he's with McAdam. There's the puck. There's his hand. And referee Lewis is right there watching it. There's no question it's a penalty. You can't even argue the point, but Dennis is hot. He's going to argue it anyway. He just wanted to get a stoppage of play. Now the Islanders 2 men short. 1 minute and 27 seconds still in the penalty to Brian Trottier.
13:31, the time of the call. Closing the hand on the puck. Brad Maxwell from the blue line. The shot hit Langevin. Hartsburg lets it go. A weak shot just went wide of the net. Ends up in the mesh at the back of the goal, and they'll bring the face off. You got it, 18. Out of there.
I'm getting carried away there. The puck gets shot up on the back of the net by Minnesota, and that's an automatic face-off outside the Islander blue line, and that's what the Islanders wanted.
We have 6 minutes, 17 seconds remaining in regulation time. 5-3, New York Islanders leading the Minnesota North Stars. Islanders won the first game of the series, 6-3. A lot of fans coming into the Coliseum tonight, and up behind us and around us, we're saying, well, have a nice summer. Feeling that this would be the last game they would see at the Coliseum. Minnesota with other ideas, of course. Payne has fired it around the boards in the Islanders zone. Maxwell checked by Langevin, and it goes the length of the ice.
What a move by Dave Langevin there, Jake. Just to knock the puck across the blue line is one thing when you're 2 men down, but get it the length of the ice is special.
56 seconds left in the first Islander penalty. Here's Young on left wing. Back to Hartsburg. Greg Hartsburg went to the backhand, and the shot was blocked in front by Langevin. He's fallen on top of it, and there's no further play.
A big difference in the way the 2 pucks were stopped. Potvin, his hand on the puck. Dave Langevin down on his knees, the puck underneath one of his knees. Sonmore a little upset. He thinks that should be a penalty too, obviously, but that's not the case. There's Dennis Potvin and Brian Trottier. Brian talking to Ray Scampanello, one of the linesmen in tonight's game. Leon Stickle is the other linesman. 2 of the National Hockey League's finest. One of the reasons they're assigned to these games. They're scored game by game throughout the season by the officials. The referees have officials watching them each game. The general managers also score them.
Goring had gone to get a new stick. He is there to take the face-off. Langevin and Morrow on defense.
Good job by Goring. Good job. Nothing wrong with Billy's arm, obviously, with another good shot. This one down the ice.
Now Billy Carroll has come out to replace Goring after he had won that face-off. This is Giles for Minnesota. Thrown up in the check from Carroll. Bobby Smith across the line. Puts on the brakes. Fans yelling defense. Smith to the blue line to Giles. Now to Bobby Smith. Smith rink wide, tipped by Carroll. Roberts in the corner, back of the goal. That's Ciccarelli to Roberts. Roberts to the blue line. Giles winds up, shoots, blocked by Langevin. And Billy Carroll, off balance and falling, cleared the puck into the Minnesota zone. 6 seconds left in the penalty to Trottier. Minnesota at center. Out around the boards. Trottier is back on. 30 seconds left in the penalty now to Denny Potvin. Here's Giles. Over to Roberts. Roberts blocked by Goring. The puck loose, cleared by Langevin. Here's Roberts again for Minnesota. Goring without a helmet. Giles at the line. Shot one. Billy Smith the save, and Trottier breaks up. Ryan Trottier down the left side. Over the Minnesota line. Played it around Giles, but then he was bumped and couldn't catch up with it. Goring into forecheck. He comes out of there, headed for the Islander bench. Replaced by Merrick, and the Islanders killed off the two-man Minnesota power play. Bobby Smith backhanding the puck in front of the Islander goal, picked up by Palmer. Standing ovation for the Islanders. Barrett around the boards. Lane cuts it off back of the net. Potvin there to help out, gave it to Merrick. 4:10 left in regulation time. Merrick sends Lorimer into center. Bob Lorimer dumped it in wide of the Minnesota goal. Don Beaupre leaves it for Greg Smith. Here comes Ken-Eric Anderson now. Anderson to the left side. That's Greg Smith for the drives. Billy Smith made the save, then started out of the net, and elected to get a face-off as he dove on the puck.
Standing ovation the fans give their players. The Islanders staving off a two-man disadvantage. That's a big kill in the late stages of the third period. Had Minnesota scored, it would have been a lot of trouble for the New York Islanders if they'd have got within one goal. They could have narrowed the margin. It's still 5-3. The Islanders leading the North Stars. 3:52, just short of 4 minutes remaining in the third period and the hockey game.
We have talked so much during the regular season and the playoffs about the Islander power play. You cannot say enough about the Islander penalty killing in a special unit situation as well. Off from the blue line, Roberts with a shot that goes wide of the net. Here's Bourne on the left side. Into center to Trottier, 2-on-1 with Bossy. Ryan Trottier to Bossy, shoots, he scores! Trottier keeps his record alive as the Islanders go up 6-3 on the goal by Bossy.
His second goal of the game. Beaupre now wants to have a fight with Bossy. What a shot, and perfect pass by Ryan Trottier, who just popped him. Here's Trottier coming in, number 19 across the 22, Bossy. We've seen it and heard it so many times, and Bossy beats Don Beaupre with a high shot. And that is it, 6-3 for the New York Islanders. Beaupre is the one that's causing most of the confusion down there. Trottier, give him a shout. When Beaupre came out after Bossy, Bossy is still talking to him, trying to get the players away from the goaltender. That would quiet everything down. There he is, Mike Bossy, his second goal of the game, his 15th goal of the playoffs. What a pass at Trottier. First of all, to get the pass, Trottier takes the pass inside the red line. We get another look at it, but we're going to see the short version. Look at that pass. That's Roberts, number 10 from Minnesota, trying to get to Bossy, but there's no way. There's a happy pair. They've been trying to do that since the second period. And early in the third, when Beaupre hit Trottier with the butt end, best way to get even is to put a puck by him. Bossy does.
Bossy from Trottier and Bourne at 16-22. It is 6-3. Ryan Trottier now has picked up a point in 22 consecutive playoff games. 15 straight games this season, breaking Bobby Orr's record, which he had tied here on Tuesday. And is all alone now. 15 consecutive games in one playoff year.
Talking with Al Arbor. There's a running total of players' times on the ice. Sometimes that's what they coordinate. Jimmy Pickard, while he's standing there looking after things at his end of the bench, is keeping time.
Bossy just tested Beaupre from a bad angle again. There's Bourne in the Minnesota zone. Bobby Bourne to Lane, lets it go, and it was blocked and cleared by Anderson. We have 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in regulation time, and the North Stars are called for icing the puck.
I should remark further about the time. Jimmy Pickard keeps time of each player while they're on the ice, and they keep that total as the game goes on. Another standing ovation for the New York Islanders.
This one for Brian Trottier as the message board tells the story of how he has set a new cup record with a point in 15 straight games in one playoff year. And now a little more pushing and shoving in the Minnesota zone. Ciccarelli has picked on Bossy of all people. He knows that Bossy isn't going to retaliate. Mike will get into a verbal war with him.
Now,
here we go. Bobby Bourne and Brad Maxwell.
Oh, Bourne has really hung one on him. He's got him stunned and hurt. And he's mad as Bob Bourne helmets Brad Maxwell.
Well, the linesmen, Scapanello and Snickle, trying to pull them apart. First major penalties in the playoff series.
Well, it's too bad that it has to come, but for this whole game almost, they've been sparring a little bit. Trottier and Hartsburg are toying a little at the center ice area.
And if we look at the linesman trying to break up the fight, back from that a little bit, Lane is side by side with Ciccarelli, and every now and then gives him just a little tap with his stick. Fans applauding. Bob Bourne has some parting shots, verbal, with some of the North Stars. Bourne being ushered off the ice to the Islander dressing room. Maxwell will probably follow.
I think the blood that you see on Bob Bourne is coming from a cut on Brad Maxwell. Bobby Bourne really hung a couple of quick ones. He's left-handed, Jiggs, and in a fight in the ice, you don't get much leverage, but quickness counts. And Bourne quickly fired a couple of left hooks and caught Brad Maxwell flush on the face. Looked a little more like the fellow that's at the game tonight, Jerry Cooney.
Yeah, indeed.
Now
we're going to take a look at Mike Bossy and Dino.
Ciccarelli having a few words. Gordy Lane comes in, and he knows that Bossy won't fight. And if Ciccarelli decides to throw a punch at Mike Bossy, Gordy Lane is going to be right there.
Mike took the mouth guard out to make sure that Ciccarelli would understand what he was saying.
He wanted. Look at here. There's the fight. The first two punches that Bourne threw were just right on the button.
These penalties will be called at 16:44.
I'll give Brad Maxwell, after taking a couple of real shots on the face, he came back and he threw a couple of punches. He may have caught Bob Bourne too. I saw Bourne going off, kind of rubbing his nose, looking to see if he was cut. Al Arbor trying to keep an eye on the clock, figure out where the penalties are, who they're for. You see him trying to signal to Dennis Potvin. He wants Dennis over at the bench.
Now Maxwell and Bourne have gone to the respective dressing rooms. Len Sonmore up on the bench. His team had the lead tonight and trailed behind 3-1, came back to tie it up. 30 seconds into this third period, Billy Smith appeared to be injured at that time. But Smith stayed in the game, has performed miraculously again. Don Beaupre playing in his fourth game, in jeopardy of suffering his first playoff loss after having won 3 straight. And he has been very testy, to say the least.
Lane is in the box. Ciccarelli for Minnesota is in the box. And Andy Kaller has now gone into the box. That's probably for Bob Bourne, who has gone to the dressing room.
Or did they fail to leave the area of the fight?
Obviously, that's always a
penalty
possibility.
To number 20, Dino Ciccarelli. He gets 10 minutes misconduct, 2-minute minor, bench minor. Also, number 5, Brad Maxwell, 5 minutes fighting.
Well, that's what it is, a misconduct.
Gordy Lane has gone to the dressing room also.
Number 24, Gord Lane, he gets 10-minute misconduct and a 2-minute minor. Number 14, Bob Bourne, 5 minutes for fighting. Time of all penalty, 16:44. That's Cicerelli of the North Stars, 2-minute minor, 10-minute misconduct. Maxwell of the North Stars, 5 minutes fighting. Lane of the Islanders, 2 minutes minor, 10-minute misconduct. And Bourne of the Islanders, 5 minutes fighting at 16:44.
Now we have Young and Caller serving the minor penalties against each team. And the puck deep in the Islanders zone, picked up by Kenny Morrow. Around to Denny Potvin. Gave it to Morrow, to Nystrom, and the fans begin to sing Goodbye North Stars. We hate to see you go. It's still early in the series, but the Islanders with a 2-0 lead in games. And they go to the Met Center for action on Sunday night and again on Tuesday night. Both games 8:30 New York time. Morrow just cleared the puck into center ice to Nystrom, who's over that Minnesota line. Back to Morrow. Got a pretty good glee club here at the Coliseum.
They were getting on the goaltender, Don Beaupre, too. They give him a derisive cheer when he made the stop a moment ago. A long shot by Bob Nystrom.
Here's McCarthy. He's checked right at the Islander blue line. McCarthy again at center ice. Roberts on the left side, shot it into the New York Islanders zone, and Langevin goes back. 2 minutes remaining in regulation time. Langevin to McEwen, ahead to Merrick. Wayne Merrick with Clark Gillies. Gillies takes the pass, brought it in over the line. Clark Gillies gets set and then fired one wide. He was hammered by McCarthy as he let it go. Here's Merrick back in the net. He's pinned by the check of Giles and Ken-Eric Anderson. 27 seconds remaining in the minor penalties.
Something that we've seen time and again in this series and throughout the playoffs. Wayne Merrick behind the net. He's got 2 Minnesota players tied up, Jiggs, and they freeze the puck. That's the kind of things that the Islanders do. They take 2 men. It takes 2 of them to hold down a player. Wayne Merrick this time in fighting for the puck.
Now into center ice is Gordy Roberts. Roberts got it to Palmer. Brad Palmer is one of the 3 Minnesota goals taken to the ice by the check from Gillies. Here's Langevin back. Over to McEwen. Mike McEwen played it rink wide to Clark Gillies. Gillies into center ice to Merrick. Wayne Merrick back to Dave Langevin. Langevin dumps it into center. Caller is back on, as is Young. North Stars wind up in their own zone with 1:05 left in this second game of the best-of-7 Stanley Cup final. Greg Smith had a poke off his stick by Morrow. Morrow just forces Minnesota to go back. Freddie Barrett, Pinelli chasing him. Barrett around the boards to Palmer. And Palmer checked by Nystrom. The puck loose. Pinelli shoots. That just went wide. Here's Nystrom with it. Bobby Nystrom on his off wing. Around behind the net. Knocked down by Barrett. Billy Carroll trying to center one. Ends up at the back of the goal. Tonelli can't come out from behind, and we'll get a face-off deep in the Minnesota territory. 37 seconds. All that's left in game 2.
The Islanders in the first 2 games have been just too much for the Minnesota North Stars. They have pushed them and forced them in their own end of the ice consistently, and it's paid off. 6 goals again tonight. The Islanders have been able to score.
For those of you on the SportsChannel system, there will be hockey hotline tonight, I'm told, and that'll be followed by New York Yankee baseball. They're playing Billy Ball, as they call it now, over at Yankee Stadium. Billy Martin and the A's in. Time ticking off as Potvin broke up the Minnesota rush. Here's Hartsburg at center. Hartsburg shot it in, and the fans set up the chant of we're number 1. The Islanders finished first overall in the league. Minnesota was 9th. And the Islanders will take a 2-0 lead in games into Minnesota for game 3 on Sunday night. North Stars slap it out into center as the fans count down the clock. 3 seconds. 2, 1. Game 2 is history. The Islanders defeat the Minnesota North Stars by a score of 6-3. And they come pouring off the bench to congratulate Billy Smith. The Minnesota North Stars skate slowly in the direction of their dressing room. As we go to the Met Center, with the Islanders leading 2-0. The final score, New York Islanders 6, the Minnesota North Stars 3.
Game one, Ken Hodge, but the North Stars were in this one, and they were really kind of blown out of the first game. They were in this one, tied it early in the third period until the game winner came along.
Well, I think they threw quite a scare into the Islanders. Dennis Potvin, you have to give credit to him. 2 goals, 2 assists tonight. Played a very strong game on defense, and I guess it's only fitting Dennis Potvin ended up with a winning goal.
Well, let's check that game-winning goal, the one that made it 4-3. The Islanders then going on to win it by a score of 6-3. Here we go.
He initially sets the play up here to Goring and takes one shot. Goring walks in, gets the rebound, feeds it back here to Potvin. Potvin feeds it back to Goring. Goring walks in here, takes a shot, gets his own rebound, feeds it back to Potvin, steps in, glove side, end of game.
That made it 4-3. The Islanders scored twice more later on, 5-3, 6-3, same score as game one. And the third game will be out in Minnesota on Sunday night. We'll have that game for you here on TV 38. The Islanders lead the series, best of 7 for the Stanley Cup, 2-0. Final score again tonight from Nassau County Coliseum. The New York Islanders 6, the Minnesota North Stars 3. For Ken Hodge, I'm Tom Larson. Good night.
Tonight's game has been brought to you in part by Michelob Light, an exceptional light beer with a rich, smooth taste. By Toyota, who invites you to test drive the new Toyota Starlet, the first small wonder of the world, at your local Toyota dealer. Oh, what a feeling to drive a Toyota.
Thank you.